the first guy. She heads up back to the guy she originally broke up with in the first place. And she texts me and she's like, "Oh, I'm really glad I moved up here. Everything's going really great." She's like, "And I love that I'm only 10 minutes from work now." I'm like, "So," or no, she didn't say it like that. She texted me in such a way that it seemed like the benefit of choosing him over me or the other guy was that he was 10 minutes from her work. Like that was literally the reason she went back to this guy. I couldn't fucking believe it. Let's see. It's okay. Hold on. Here we go.
Yeah, I just got caught the backlash of that too. I had the video playing in the background. Hello, Men's Knowledge 101. How you doing today?
Hey.
Hey, one of my favorite guests there. We were just talking about girls and stuff, in every, it's just so weird sometimes how they act now. I was telling them a story about a woman that walked up on me in a bar, plopped her ass right next to me, and just like, hey, that's a weird thing when that happens. Like, hey, hey, like I'm your newest best friend as long as I'm buying drinks, Basically, it was weird. It just gets all weird. I just kind of flick them away now and all that stuff. But oh god, it gets like confusing. It gets when you spot their nature. Oh.
But yeah, today I'd like to go over that video that Zeta had reposted for us. The Christian perspective. I thought more about it after I talked to you.
He had 6 hit points in there, and it's like they're all fucking bizarre. What did you think about that?
Well, the whole worldview thing, obviously, I just disregarded what he said. But at the same time, here's my thing. If you are religious, if you are Christian, or you have a spiritual worldview and you're Mgtow, I still think that Mgtow in general aren't going to see women as less spiritual or somehow a lesser being in that sense. Like, I don't think that even applies, And I try to measure that because I don't think that they think they are or hold that opinion. I think that they know they are. When their level, how do I explain this? Like, for example, when a man does a woman wrong, how bad is it really? Like on the average, when a man just kind of wrongs a woman, right? What, he lied to her, so she thought she was going to get more out of the bargain. She regrets sleeping with him or shacking up with him or choosing him over someone else because it turns out he was just addicted to video games or something. So it wasted her time. Oh, I'm sorry. How wrong is that? Or, I don't know, rapes her. Like, you can go from two drastic paradigms,
right?
But like how women wrong men is a long process of just eating away at you, eroding you. In fact, you know what? Lucy K makes a great point. He says when a boy messes up, when a boy is bad in the house or whatever, he'll like break a lamp when he's playing with the ball in the house or something like that. Yeah. But when a girl is bad, it's a whole different ball game. He says my daughter, her doll broke. And her sister had a doll of her own, and she thought it wasn't fair that her sister still had a doll that worked. So she asked her dad to break his other daughter's doll, and he did it.
He did it.
It was in his pitch. It was in his skit. He was telling, but yeah, and the girl was smiling while he did it, like. They're sick. That's sick.
That's sickness. Yeah. He gave a few analogies when he went back to the atom thing on that.
Yeah.
And then it just seems so bizarre to me that in their concept, in the Christian concept, it's Adam was born and God seen that he was lonely, so he pulled a rib from him and he made Eve from Adam.
Yeah.
And then Eve had a purpose, and then but the original story is God created man. And this guy would say, and God created man and women equally. And that's so social justice warrior. So they went back and in the last, all of us have read the Bible. The last paragraph in the Bible is what? If you change this Bible, you will be under the condemnation of hell. And then he goes and uses that, it tells you, and then he goes and uses that same parable or that same line
Yeah.
as why he is able to do it.
And you know why? It's because they go off of the whole, like, it's all about interpretation, you know?
Yeah,
So you can reinterpret it. And I actually wanted to use that argument against feminists as well, was saying, well, if it's all based on interpretation, then I could interpret, you know, the message in your ideology as something quite evil or something quite destructive, you know, because you'll say, well, no true feminists and all this, and they'll argue between each other, the intersectional feminism. And I'll be able to say, so you all just have like a different interpretation of something. It's like, it's a fucking definition. Like, it's one word in a
it's one word.
book. Why does there have to be all of this? But I think we were talking about, like, racism has become another topic of conversation in Mgtow again. Is that right?
I don't know if yeah, TFM just did a video last night. It always seems to resurface
Yeah,
in Mgtow, and I was thinking the whole thing is it gets old, and it's not our issue.
not at all. I've never even considered a race to be anything to do with anything in Mgtow. I never thought of that to be a factor of anything.
Yeah, and I hate to unequally equate things and equate things with other things because but sometimes there's an idea here that a lot of people that come around Mgtow have to understand is MGTOW is about MGTOW subjects, and it's about male empowerment, and it's about how the gynocentric is bizarre, and it treats us in this way. It's not about all these other social issues like racism and it's not about violence against women. It's not about all those things. It would be
Yeah.
like someone coming to MGTOW and saying, "You guys aren't worried about how the Nazis treated, it's like what Hitler was a bad guy," and I'm going, "So what? It has nothing to fucking do with
Right.
me."
They're like, well, if you don't care about that right now, that must mean you're a denier. Like, Hitler did nothing wrong, right?
That's right. And if you don't care about that, and that's where the absurdism comes in this
Oh,
thing.
Jesus, yeah,
It goes, you're a Nazi because you don't like you're not talking about what I'm talking about.
yeah,
And then there goes the stretch of their imagination, the absurdism that I'm a Nazi. And then they do this with the pedophile thing. If I don't want to talk about the Catholic Church in that way, then that makes me a pedophile.
oh yeah, you're an apologist, yeah.
I'm a Catholic Church
You're trying to
apologist.
deflect. You're
Yeah.
deflecting.
And there's so many subjects like that. They do that with racism. They do that with the church thing. They do that with the Nazi thing, or
Yeah.
they do that with so many other subjects. That's
Yeah, because
really
they can't win the argument on the topic. They can't stay in context and win the argument, so they have to try to change it to something else by begging the
yeah.
question. And it's a
Begging the
cheap
question.
tactic.
Yeah,
And you'd think, as human beings, we'd figure this out by now. Like, we obviously see it now, but they still do it, and people still fall for it because they get stuck in the momentum of the conversation, and they just get lost in it. They get lost in
yeah.
all the fog of war, I guess you could call it.
Oh, the fog of war. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
equated that. Yes, I think I went on yesterday about I joined the crockpot cooking group to, to try to show the guys how easy it would be for me, a guy with a lot of knowledge about group dynamics and everything, and how these things work, how easy it would be for me to take over this group. And then they were going to make me the fucking moderator. And I was like, no, I can't do that because I have some self-respect. I have some dignity. But that would have been funny as hell. Traversable Mgtow being a moderator of the cock. That's how easy it is to go in and start picking your ideas and saying, you guys aren't doing this. You guys aren't doing this. You guys aren't talking. And you guys are bad people if you don't do this.
Yeah, right.
And, and it's like, what about one of the things I use? And I thought it was so fucking funny is you guys are allowing these what pressure cooker people to come in here.
What does that even mean?
And I was like, yeah, and that's what we do. We get the pressure cooker people, we get the skillet cooking people, and it's like, no, you guys aren't allowed in this crock pot cooking because we are single-minded, It's crock pot only, But that's the same thing we get around here, isn't it?
It is. It really is. It's a joke to me.
It's a joke, and it's
but
God.
like people try to. Well, here's the thing: when somebody comes into a movement, they usually bring. When they come into any sort of group, they usually bring with them something. So a lot of times, like, you can bring racism to just about anything if you wanted. You can bring violence to a religion or not. You can bring peace to religion. You can bring love, and whatever it is that you bring, it's about you. And in Mgtow, you get people like, for example, they like, okay, just for example, like Ben says, racism may get to be a regularly talked about thing in Mgtow until it is wide known that Mgtow was meant to go beyond race. I don't know
Right.
if, well, here's the thing. No one said Mgtow was meant to go, like, it wasn't like the meaning behind starting Mgtow wasn't to go beyond race. It just happens to be a product of it. When men unify and we don't care about race, then yes, we do go beyond race, but it was meant, I think, and this is me bringing my thing to Mgtow, that it was meant to wake men up and realize they're being, used and discarded like objects to women, and
Yeah.
that we needed to have a little more respect for ourselves and
Right.
reclaim our masculinity, or else we're going to end up like Europe.
Uh, yeah, it was just
You know?
there are certain things we make out when racism was I hate to say it, but we had no problem with racism in Mgtow until somebody has reminded us that racism was out there, and then they reminded us that we had to, and it was like, oh no, I don't have to do that thing.
Yeah.
I'm so against that thing. I'm so against even arguing, because when you look at all these men around here, we're not looking at race, color, creed, religion. We're not looking at sexual. It's sexual preference. Sometimes I think is an issue, but
Well, as
it's
Turd
really
Fleeing
not.
Monkey put it, he said that there's always going to be racism in everything. There's always going to be like that 2% that come in and they're just idiots,
Yeah, that's
and
their
they're the shrill
cause.
minority. Yeah, and that's their cause. They're the loudest and they're the few, and they just cause conversation. And usually it ends up with, because the more people that talk about a topic, the more it seems like that topic has influence.
That
It
yeah,
doesn't, but everyone has something to throw in. Everyone has, a dog in the fight when it comes to racism in some way, shape, or form. Be it you're moderate,
yeah,
be it you're completely you don't even recognize it, or you're like a full advocate for it. And so everyone's got something to say about it.
yeah.
So that's all
It's
it
like
is.
it makes for good conversation and lighting conversation once in a while, but it's not really what we do here. What we try to do is we'll take a subject like racism, and we
Yep.
bring it back to how all roads lead to Mgtow. And you can see how racism, and you can see if you're a Mgtow and you put on these Mgtow things, and you take on these Mgtow qualities and of masculinity and all the Mgtow stuff, and you see how it's going to influence your life, then racism is almost cured.
It really is, because you don't see color. You don't see it like that anymore.
You don't see color, you don't see all the bullshit, and that's with a lot of the Christianity. Just apply Mgtow to what you see as you're
Yeah.
going through this, and then you're going to wake up and you're going to see those like I said, those doors are like big vagina doors. They're trying to get you to get married, and they're trying to extract your utility, and you don't have to be hostile about that with them, and you don't have to.
No, it'd be reasonable.
Yeah, you can be reasonable, and but don't go endlessly go over it and make that our point, because our point is gynocentrism influences everything. Everything. And it's like
Yeah.
you had a great story before we started about the girl that flipped you yesterday.
Yeah.
It,
Oh God. So okay, I guess we were doing it offline, so I may as well do it on live. But yeah, we had a girl over, and she was, here to see my roommate, and we were just having friendly banter back and forth, nice little verbal battle. And she was raised by a Marine. Her dad was a Marine. She was raised by a single dad, so she was able to like kind of be on that mental level, just on a different level. She was kind of like one of the guys in the sense, and a lot of the women that I've met that are one of the guys, they usually harbor some of the worst things about gynocentrism, but you don't see it until way down the line.
yeah,
But
yeah,
anyways, as the friendly banter went back and forth between us, I guess I had hit a nerve at some point, and she decided that she was able to flick me in the nuts, you know. And I'm just sitting in my chair, and I just unresponsive. I just look over at her, just unresponsive about it. And I was like, "Did you just flick me in the nuts?" And she's like, "Yeah. What are you gonna do about it? What are you gonna do?" And I was like, "Okay." I'm thinking to myself, "You have no idea that you're just flicked a Mgtow in the nuts. If we were to actually, like, I was like, I would actually not hold back if you were to go push this object, push this any further. I'm not a violent guy, but I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm not going to do anything because, she's here to see my roommate and all this, but
yeah,
this is a perfect example of an entitlement Like I didn't grab her. I didn't grab her ass or like flick her tits or play with her clit or anything crazy. I would never do something like that. But she can with a big smile on her face. No, I just had to go buy the hit a hit a guy in the nuts. Like fuck off.
Yeah.
And then my roommate in the morning comes in, wakes me up for a little bit. He's like, hey man, I messed up. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I need a plan B. I need a morning after pill. Where do I get that? I was like, CVS or Walgreens.
CVS,
Fucking bye. Go back to sleep. So off he goes.
Yeah,
It's like
slip it in her
$40
coffee in the morning. Yeah, slip it in her coffee, and you go on your day. But that's an entitlement, isn't it? That's like
it's complete it's a complete entitlement, man. It really is. Because you think about it, I wouldn't, as a man, I couldn't do something like that. Like, for example, let's say she's over, she's just a friend or whatever, she's here to see him. She says something I don't like, I don't smack her on the ass, but hey, you can't say that. Hey, you know, first off, my roommate would look at me and be like, what the fuck, dude? Don't be smacking my girl's ass. Secondly, she'd be spinning and be like, where do you think you get the right to do that? But let's reverse the roles. She could flick me in the nuts and it's a-okay. Like,
yeah,
it's not.
They don't see that it's sexual assault. And it's the same thing as sexual assault. If you grabbed a hold of a girl's vagina in public and you didn't assume that you were going to go to jail at that point, it would be, I find it for most men, that would be like your telltale, and you may need a little, jail time to let you know that that's not correct way to think and correct way to act in society. But they sexual assault us on a whim. And it's okay. They do this in school. They do this. We've gotten these things done to us in school. They promote these things in some nations. Yeah. That's punishment in school. Flicking.
Well, and something else that's a little deeper for you there. The whole night she would make jokes like, "Show me your cock, show me your cock, show me your cock." Well, what it really is all she was trying to do was create jealousy,
right,
for the guy that she's actually here to see. She just wanted to make him a little jealous, and she wanted to get a little attention at the same time by making him jealous, so he'd go in there and bang her brains out. So I knew what she was doing, and obviously I enjoyed the little bit of attention, but I didn't really take it any further than that. But it was only because I knew she just wanted to make him jealous. So she's willing to she's trying to manipulate two guys in the room at the same time. She's just trying to see if I would take interest in her and kind of play around. And then she also wanted to make the guy she's here to see a little jealous, so he would give her a little bit extra attention. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, can I just enjoy my night off, take a couple shots, play some video games without having to get shaming language for playing a video game or whatever? Oh man, she was using all the shaming language trying to punch a nerve, like, I bet you masturbate all the time, I bet you never get laid, all this other kind of stuff. She's like, you get the face, you look like you've never been laid, or you haven't been laid in years or something stupid. I was like, I got laid last night. I don't fucking need to tell you that. Like, I don't need to prove anything to you. I said that to her. I was like, I don't need to prove shit to you. And I walked out and had a cigarette.
Yeah, it's the same old. And when we talk about biology in here, it's the tournament mating. She wanted to see that excites her. She wanted the dominant male, all those things we say, and she wanted to see that out of the guy before she made a decision whether she was going to mate with him. And that's what they did, essentially. What did
she say? She even went so far to say something to him, like on the grounds of, if you don't do something, or if you don't, whatever it was, that she expected of him, that she would fuck me. Is what she said to him, like right there in front of me. She's like, if you don't do what I want, or you don't I'll fuck him. It's I know she's joking and we're drinking or whatever, but I'm thinking to myself, that's still subliminally like telling the guy, on his primal instinct level, like he's got, that he could lose her or whatever the case may be. It's still a manipulation tactic.
Yeah, it's still manipulation.
Be it tongue in cheek or whatever, it's still manipulation.
So how much tequila was expended last night?
How much tequila? Was a whole fifth, or what is that? Yeah, the whole fifth was gone in like an hour and a half. And there was a bunch of vodka, and I took some shots, and then they all smoked up. And
oh god, yeah, that now you can get that in the morning regret. I
just woke up with the stinkiest farts in the world. That's all, really. I didn't have anything else. I just fart like death.
Oh yeah, I hate that. Tequila, and mix anything with it, and for me, it's instant asshole.
Yeah.
And, I will.
Tequila doesn't do that to me.
Tequila doesn't do that to you. Any
No, I
alcohol does
don't
that.
get violent. I do not get like the angry or the frustrated or like just the quick to. I don't get the angry drunk. I never have.
Oh, yeah, I'm not an angry drunk, but what my brothers often say is someone will come over with a bottle or something, and they'll start pouring shots, and they'll pour me a shot, and I'll push it away, and I'll go, "No, you don't want to see that guy." And they'll go, don't, and then they'll go, and then he'll push the shot back. You know how it is, like the push
Oh
button.
yeah.
I was, okay, but if you want to see him, I am 10 times worse verbally when I've had after, and I am. If you think I'm bad on the Traversable Mgtow, you take me out to a bar with a few drinks in me, and I'm that guy.
Oh,
I'm that. Look at that fucking bitch there. Look at the
oh
way she's
wow.
fucking dressed. For. Look at that whore there. I get
I'd be
that way.
all I would do is I'd lean over and be like, dude, come on, man. Like, you don't need, come on, man. Come on, really, come on. And you'd be like, shut the fuck up. And I'd be like, fuck you. We'd start fighting.
Yeah,
And
that
then
it
I'd
is
go
a good
get you over
feeling.
here and be like, come
Yeah.
on, let's go have a smoke. You know.
And my brothers will kind of giggle and laugh and say, "Yep, we told you not to give him the shot, and he will drink it."
Oh man, but yeah, my roommate tried to make me the margaritas last night, and they were so. I don't know if they. I mean, there was too much ice and too much tequila,
Oh,
not
too
enough
much ice, too
mix,
much.
and
Yeah,
it was just like, and I literally look up and I'm like, why? What do they do to you?
I like margaritas. They're nice to sit around. I used to go to what is that taco place? It was one of the first taco places in America that had the margaritas. We used to go up
Yeah.
on Thursday night because they had half price, and then I realized that they were putting that 40 proof tequila in them. It's like the it was is that was, but that's why you can drink 13 of them, you know.
Yeah, I got a hard root beer on my desk. I bought these on my way home so we could.
Hard root beer.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Oh, did they just convert the sugar in there to with a malt? And
I
then
get yeah, and it's got 5.8% alcohol. They're like $1.50 at the gas station. And they taste like root beer, but a little extra creamy because of the
okay.
alcohol. It's pretty good.
Now, wasn't root beer at one time used to ferment with, and in the early West in America, I
Oh,
think
caramel, like
yeah,
caramel. Yeah.
caramel. I think one of the few products that they had was I can't remember what root that is that's used for root beer, but that's what they had. And then and it kind of became a joke, you know. You want one of those sarsaparillas, but yeah, now they're doing it in root beer. That's cool. Cool. It's so easy to make your own alcohol. You ever tried making your own alcohol?
No, I never have. Once I actually have my own garage for once in my life, I'll do that.
Yeah, I do mine. I make rum. Uh, every time I make a bottle of rum, this is one of the things I do. I always preach: make your own stuff and take money out of the system. So I make my own rum, and it tastes 10 times better than a rum. But one of the things that during the summer that is really good, and I learned it on YouTube. There's a
Yeah.
lot of they call it the hillbilly lemonade.
Okay.
When you take the lemonade and you add the yeast to it, let it sit for like a few days, and then you got like 2 gallons
Hillbilly
of
lemonade.
alcoholic alcoholic beverages to serve with. You got to filter it,
Well, I was gonna
and
say if you make a rum that you say tastes better than most rums out there, man, you should brand it as a Mgtow rum. No one owns the brand Mgtow. You could
no,
make
yeah, no
that.
one owns rum, and no one owns the brand
Yeah.
Mgtow, and it's like I could make rum. It's really easy to do, guys. I do this. I bought the
I'm so
on YouTube again. You know, it's a teapot distiller. So he took the teapot and he welded on the thing for me because I didn't really want to do the work to do this. And then it comes off, the hose comes off, and it goes over to your sink. My stove is by my sink. So I put the bottle in my sink. I turn this on. There's a little, it says 172 when I got it right. And then I just leave it on, and whatever I make, an hour later, I have a bottle of whiskey, and it's 160 proof. So did I lose MJ? Yeah, I think I just lost MJ. So that's what I do. I just simply make my own alcohol. It's really easy, guys. What I do is cheap. I go up to the store uh, and I buy 2 or 3 bags of the brown sugar and a bottle of molasses, which cost me, oh God, $6-7, and I get about 2.5 bottles of rum out of that. and I have the yeast here. And don't fall for that yeast thing where they tell you there's brewer's yeast and there's this kind of yeast, because they're just selling you their old yeast because they want to use the new yeast. And that's one thing I found. So a regular yeast will work. And lost you there for a minute.
So my roommate, I'm sorry, he had to tell me something.
I got it. You know what? Fuck it.
He had to tell me something. Okay, so here's the rundown. So this girl last night that we were talking about,
Yeah.
they went off and between all the alcohol and the marijuana and all the sex, they I guess at some point in the night he had been the dumb fuck that he is, was like "Duh," and busted in her while he was high and drunk and whatever.
Yeah.
So he, and she's not on birth control, I'm guessing. So he had to go get the Plan B pill. Well, anyways, she is pissed. Like, I guess he violated some trust or something.
Oh, she was going to keep the baby.
What? No. I think they probably fucked without a condom. He's like, it'll be okay. And so now she's blocked him on Facebook, and like her friends blocked him, and she's like, she split after she took the pill, and that pill fucks women up. Have you actually like learned what the Plan B pill really does to women?
What does it do? Is there?
It basically just overloads them with a shit ton of hormones that basically kicks out the egg, and it basically like kick starts their period almost.
It kickstart. Yeah, that's what I thought. It kind of washes all those eggs out, and with the would be the fertilized egg would come out then too. And it. Oh yeah, she's got a couple. Oh, she's going to be bitchy anyways because that's her. It simulates the period, and you know how they all get during that. Christ. So was that easy to buy? Is that easy to buy in a lot of states now?
Well, let me go get him. He'll explain it here.
Okay.
Because I've never actually had to go buy the Plan B pill.
Yeah,
I have control.
it's interesting that these guys want to know about the process of buying it.
Okay, hold on. Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hey, how you doing? We were wondering about the process of actually in your state. I don't know which state you are or where you're at. Was that process easy to do?
Yeah, it was actually quite simple, guys. All I had to do was walk up to the counter and just ask for that pill itself. And of course, I'm the cheapskate that I am, went and got a coupon for it.
Okay, you download on internet, huh?
Oh yeah, I saved it to my phone on fucking Google Drive. But no, this Jeremy kind of excuse me, Mgtow Jesus,
MJ.
Told the story quite well. Had a girl over. This girl adds me out of nowhere on Facebook. We start talking. She's a friend of one of my friends. Long story short, she ends up coming over here for the weekend. We down to like a fifth of tequila in like an hour and a half. Smoked a little pot because I have nothing against it, and went into the bedroom while me being the dumb fuck that I am, as Mgtow Jesus so nicely put it. Right?
No, we all do this. We all do it, and we all know how it is sometimes.
Well, I ended up going get the pill roughly about like 3 o'clock in the morning after being laid off my ass. And yeah, it's this shit sounds fucking deathly though. I'm reading the back of it right now, and I'm like, I don't know if this is going to kill the egg or her in the process. Right? So, no, it's actually quite simple. It being an over-the-counter prescription makes it quite easily accessible. Just about anywhere, like a Target, you can actually go into a Planned Parenthood, and I think you get it for half the price of what it already is. But yeah, there's only one pill in there. But from what I was researching on this, because I couldn't go to sleep after doing all this, it does flood the body with an overdose of hormones pushing.
Hormones.
Yeah, and women are already hormonal to begin with, so then it's not really the most ideal thing for them, I guess. But no, yeah, it's unopened. She, her friend is supposed to come and pick it up because she is too pissed off, sad. Disappointed. I don't, you know what? I could just keep going on and on, but yeah, it's sitting here in my hand right now as I'm talking to you guys, and I'm staring at it with a, you know, that little nice little bit of lavender and green on the box with a splash of pink.
Okay.
And it's
Yeah.
still unopened. Yeah, because she had completely just gunned it out of here after the fact. I barely even had my clothes on before she ran out the door. And yeah, right. So I'm like standing there like butt naked, like what the fuck? What the fuck?
What the fuck? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, so it's yeah, and she hasn't even come back for it, and I'm like, I'm going either A, she's gonna try to pull a fast one on me. Well,
Okay.
I mean, I wasn't really the smartest in the situation, but still, I'm definitely taking responsibility for that. But the fact is she's not over here grabbing this is kind of like a, you know, little bit of a I wouldn't say a frightening situation.
Okay, yeah, you can have a little bit of stress for until she has her next period, and then you kind of know that she's okay. But these are the interesting things we talk about here in Mgtow, is how to correctly apply these things, and you know, how to do this, and with, you know, sometimes you just got to slip it in her coffee or something in the morning, you know, because
slip it in the coffee, that's a great idea, or the alcohol that she consumes quite a bit of.
Yeah, you want a hair of the dog drink, make her up a hair of the dog, say drink the hair of the dog here, and then just kind of go on your way, because you know we don't want unexpected children, and that's one of the worst things. It could ruin your whole life after this. So I was just trying to look at the states that you're allowed to do this in, and it's a little bit confusing. I was thinking there's 21 states you have the after what they call the morning after pill,
Mm-hmm.
and 16 states have legislations on, including my state. I live in Ohio, and Pennsylvania have different legislations, and 9 states have emergency contraceptive, which they that was the kind of, because I remember this a few years ago when this thing first came out, whether you could get it, whether you couldn't get it, whether it was, and then there was the big Christian backlash about that's just abortion, and that's just, you know, there was things, and there are still some states that you can't get it in.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. Well, good thing I'm an atheist.
Okay, great. Hey, on YouTube, you have to be an atheist.
Oh, you do. After from what I've seen and what I've heard, not Mgtow, but plenty of other things makes you go, God damn, I wish I wasn't religious. If you were, but yeah, I'm like, yeah, but this thing, yeah, I remember the all the hullabaloo about this several years back. It was in the media, it was all over social media. How about, you know, like how about a lot of people were against this due to religious reasons, medical reasons, that it's actually could be somewhat more counterproductive. Because in plenty of cases, documented cases, women have taken this pill, it's still have had children, but due to the hormonal imbalance during this process of, you know, flushing that, well, it's not even a life, it's honestly just a bunch of cells. Out of it's actually been counterproductive and actually harmed the undeveloped to developing fetus. But yeah, this thing, yeah, I'm going, what the fuck do I have in my hand right now? But at least they put sexually transmitted diseases alert. This product does not help against all this, so that's good to know.
Yeah, and the big thing is always try to be careful beforehand. Well, you had a few drinks, and that always you know, affects the way things turn out in the morning. But these are real Mgtow subjects we like to talk about, and we like to, you know, if you can get that pill, always make sure you have one around. You have one around now. Unfortunately, you can't get her to take it right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is like, I don't know whether to text her friend back and, you know, just be like, hey, look, I bought this pill under one stipulation, that she takes it right in front of me, and then of course it's going to be the whole like, well, she don't want to come over here, little bit. So yeah, so it's going to be more of a, well, I'm going to go give it to her. I'm like, how do I know you fucking took it? I mean, are you going to send me a video of you taking it?
Oh, you're gonna send me a video? Yeah, it's a trust thing, and that's a big issue in Mgtow is the trust. You have to place a certain amount of trust that this thing is going to happen. And a lot of women, we know that they don't take their contraceptives on time, and then you're going to have to go through the whole thing. Is like, do you know that she's pregnant, or is she not pregnant? And we've seen this in the past, in the future, that if she does come over and says I'm pregnant, but that's okay because now you can screw me, without using a condom. And a lot of guys fall for that trap, and she wasn't really pregnant.
Exactly.
Trying to get pregnant, and that's, oh God, it becomes so messy for us men to do these logic steps and mental, we're doing the mental, hamster wheel here, trying to figure out what's going on when it could be so much easier.
Oh yeah, and I mean, I've seen plenty of my my friends alone have been, and people I've known for years have been kind of swayed by that too, kind of, like, oh hey, I took it, we're good, let's just be safe, kind of thing, and then somebody actually gets pregnant out of the situation. But yeah, I mean, the fact is there isn't, as I've seen with women, there isn't a lot of trust in men. And I feel like that's, I want to find the phrase, I want to find the words. Mgtow Jesus over here is pretty, eloquent with his wording. I'm just horrible at it.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, the fact is, I didn't come off, as verbally harassing or sexually harassing. I was quite a gentleman while she was over here. I went and made for a nice night, bought some things. And, as it turned out, yes, she was kind of trying to toy and play with my roommate all night for, shits and giggles.
Yeah.
But, I mean, poor guy. I've got to, hopefully, but, no, but in light of all that, I've been listening to this for quite a bit. I've watched quite a many Mgtow video and listened to this quite a bit and done my research. And I could say personally that I'm more of a, if you want to call it like a purple pill.
Purple pillar? Okay, yeah.
Purple pill, or somebody I'm just really, really picky about what I let into my brain. That's not saying a lot after last night. Right.
Well, you're an example to us right now, and it's interesting. We've all been in these situations with women, and it's getting worse out there. And as a regular normal guy in this environment, where you almost have to know and have to have a little Mgtow in you now, don't you?
Oh yeah, because the fact is I hear it all the time. One of my coworkers, one of my co-managers of where I work at, we got on a discussion, and it was during the plight with Planned Parenthood, and how Elizabeth Warren was help backing the funding to that, and we started getting on the topic of feminism. Well, I'm a feminist, and would even, throw all the. Oh, wow, I can hear myself. Sorry, echo.
Okay. Yeah,
but yeah, Jeremy.
Well, you're getting an echo?
Yeah, I'm getting an echo. Yeah.
How?
I can hear you through there and here.
Oh, shit.
Okay, I think we had a problem with his phone yesterday, and his phone seems to pick up on echo or whatever's happening. Maybe there's a double mic in there or something.
Oh, his phone's ancient.
Okay, yeah, but
right.
The mic may be picking up on a different. So I don't know how that would work, but it seems that when he turns off his mic, he still has his mic on.
Yeah. But my thing is, we got on the topic of feminism, me and my coworker, and what I had done is, from what I've researched with Mgtow and what I've come to believe and have noticed, Mgtow seemed to be quite eye-opening. Oh God, oh shit. That's twice the Stooge called him, Jeremy. Sorry about that, guys. Love y'all. Anyways, But no, and she seems extreme. A lot of women are extremely misinformed about what feminism is doing, especially third wave feminism. It's very counterproductive.
Yeah, it puts them in a situation where they're becoming the utility, and if you think about it, the government wants to extract their utility too, and it's counterproductive to the family. It's counterproductive to them when, when you think about it, everything, if a little modesty, a little semblance to the way things should work out in life is, their life can be very easy, but they reject, it's traditionalism. We reject traditionalism around here because we've seen in the past that there's just too much entitlement now, and Mgtow is just that stopgap now, where we just say no, we're not going to do these things anymore. And there's a bar that we're going to place ourselves on one end, and we're going to say no, we're not going to do that. And that takes away a lot of the risk. And you've experienced the risk just recently, and it's interesting to look at. And we try not to. We try not to irritate the purple pillars or the blue pillars around it, because we know that, can you see yourself growing into this thing a little more and placing a little more of the risk of the things, and I know that would be, you have to start making decisions on what kind of women you let around, tailing back, your behaviors. And we both know it always bros before hoes, in these situations. Trust your bro if he sees something and he could tell you, no, this woman may not be, her intentions aren't very good. Most of them, their intentions aren't very good. And we like to address basically the risk factor.
Exactly. Exactly. And I mean, us as men, we're not, and women as well, we're not, perfect beings. We're fallible beings. We make horrible decisions. We make great decisions. We make decisions that change our lives for the better or for the worst. But my thing is, third wave feminism, as I've been doing my own independent research of sorts, I've come to see that it's been quite counterproductive. I've like Mgtow Jesus here, I've done a lot of research on statistics. I'm big into statistics. I even took a class in college on just statistics. But the fact is, numbers don't lie. Numbers show the truth when other things don't. And that's what has me a purple pillar, because I've come to notice the truth. There's some small things, and I guess it's where I've heard different channels, different speakers, and different points of view on the matter. Some of the points of view seem to be, that's just my opinion, seem to be a little, I don't want to say far-fetched or a little, radical. But from what I know from my roommate Mgtow Jesus here, and such as you, Traversable, and a couple other, you guys are very, very middle ground. You guys are very level-headed, very informed, and very educated men. And that's what, honestly, a movement like this needs, is a group of educated men who are actually leading the forefront with facts, with statistics, with proof and tangible evidence to what's going on in our current state of society.
Oh, yeah. It's always good to start looking at the facts, the numbers, the statistics, and then from there you can see how deep the rabbit hole goes. When you start equating, financing, funding, women's issues, all that stuff with where it ends up into your society, your health and human services, your all these things, and then you start looking at it and go, wow, there's so many programs for women that influence my life every day. And then even with the morning after pill, I mean, that was all legislated. It was all gynocentrically legislated. They argued for years about that. And then whatever they came of, it's still gynocentric legislation. And the rabbit hole goes very, very deep once you start looking at simply the facts and the figures. But it gives you ammunition, and it gives you a better way of thinking about things, where you're not going to get caught up in the risk, and you don't apply it. It's just common knowledge. I would like to get, you don't have to be a Mgtow or be a Mgtow producer, but our point is to get this knowledge out to men where they're safer, happier, they're living better lives, they're not falling for a lot of stuff. anymore. They're not playing that protector provider role, and they expect equality. And true equality is 100% responsibility on
It
your
is.
behalf from both parties. Not the man is 100% responsible for everything that happens, and then you end up in jail for some silly bullshit, or you end up paying child support for the next 18 years of your life. And by the way, if that child does come out, that will be more than 18 years. That's going to be for the rest of your life.
Yeah,
And
it's a decision that you're stuck with, or that you've made that you've made, and ultimately will kind of deter you from what you want to do. And
Right.
yeah, exactly. And then, it's a
Right.
responsibility, because even where I'm 26, almost 27 years old, I'm still there in my family's life. I'm there visiting. I'm there spending time. But it would be one of those situations where you truly, if you have a child, you're truly never out of that picture.
You're never out of that picture. That child will always be there. I have my 24-year-old boy, 24 years,
Oh wow.
it walks around here a lot. And then I can see the results of my thinking back then every day. It's Dad, did you buy pop? Dad, did you do this? This never ends. And
Oh yeah.
if you like that, and I'm not against men having, men raising boys, men having children and everything, but I do like the idea is that this is never going to be ending. And if you have a business, and if you get involved with one of these feminists and her goal is to tap as much utility out of you as you can. And in this society, there's 30% taxes, and then 30% child will leave you living with 1/3 of your pay. Anything that you may have set up in your future, as for businesses, as for your future businesses, your wealth is now gone. It's gone. You will never be able to achieve unless you start working 2 jobs, 3 jobs, or one of these, lucky people that just end up, falling into some wealth. That's all gone. And she's actually can tap into that future wealth too.
Oh, exactly. Because there was a case that I was informed by Mgtow Jesus, where a young gentleman fresh out of college supposedly hadn't met the woman of his dreams. They married, and shortly after, a couple of years, they had divorced. Well,
Yeah.
she had
2 years is the actual, 2 years is 2 to 5 years is the actual time you're going to, if you do get married and you do have a child, you do have that family situation, 2 to 5 years is the actual time it lasts now.
Yeah. And what had happened is the over the course of his life, after they had been separated and divorced, she had came back many years later and actually lawfully within the statute of limitations actually stole his wealth.
His wealth, yeah.
And the fact is I know, I'm a man to where I want to be able to have my own family one day, but I want to be able, me and Mgtow have talked plenty on DeWalt's.
Yeah,
and how they're
it's desirable. It's a desirable thing to have a family, that picket fence, that beautiful house, that happiness that goes along with it, and that's I understand how that is.
But we live in a society that's very hive-minded now. To think otherwise than the social norm is to be an enemy of society. Essentially, right. You're not following into that groove, that style, those clothes, that car, that job. You're an outcast, and a lot of perception from outside of the Mgtow community puts Mgtow as the hate speech, and I'm like, well, no, I for one have listened. I for one have read plenty on Mgtow, and feminism and Mgtow shouldn't even be described as the same. Where Mgtow being for men or feminism being for women. No, it's because the feminist movement ideology is very, very demeaning towards men. And here you are with a group that's preaching practically up at the pulpit, pounding against the pulpit, gender equality, and it's kind of, feminism is kind of like the boy who cried wolf. You keep saying that. I mean, you know what? It actually may happen, but in your case, it's not going to, because the way you're going about it. And I've noticed a lot of Mgtows, we do want equality, true equality.
Yeah. Well, true equality, but that they don't understand true equality. True equality is 100% responsibility on both parties.
It is. And we have the tools, we have technology, we have ways of communication that bring us together to be more educated on these topics. And that's one thing I love about these these channels, especially Mgtow Jesus, is he's not giving you a bunch of fluff. I kind of like being the guest of the show today, though. But and no, it's fun. I've been on TV once, but it wasn't for anything, important.
Okay.
But anyways, no, it's just it's been a big eye opener to me over the past, I want to say, about 6-7 months I've lived here, and I've noticed a lot of changes in my thinking towards the situation. There's a lot of questions I ask of women before I even start getting into a relationship, let alone even into conversation with them. It's a lot of women look at you in a very mechanical, in a very kind of
right.
plastic way. But no, I'm wanting to know your intentions. I'm wanting to know how you think. I'm wanting to pick your brain. It's just because if I can personally avoid 18 to 25 years of bullshit, I mean, let me know right now. But the fact is, plenty of men, a lot of us, including myself, have jumped in there not knowing, unarmed, and then just become just came under that barrage of fire. And then, we're done. We're left by the wayside.
Do you have many friends that are in that position right now? From college, from school, you had high school buddies that are right now, they're trapped, paying child support. Their lives are shit. And everybody's going, well, everybody's looking at them like you're just that disposable male now.
Yes, and I've seen that. And actually, a great example. Thank you for bringing that up, Traversable. I have a close friend, and who's a female, and she was actually a great friend of my ex, who I've about a year ago have gotten out of a 3-year relationship, committed relationship, and they themselves had been married for 3 or 4 years, and it was kind of like what I kind of participated in last night. It was have them over, have some drinks, have some fun. She ended up becoming pregnant the first week they had known, the first night they had known each other. And 4 years later, they're going through a divorce. Well, I'm listening to her, and where now I've become educated to the fact, she's your typical woman. She's your, what, if you're not going to do how I say, if you're not going to do it how I want, you can leave. And he did. He lost his job. He lost his car. He was 27, 28 years old, living with his folks again, literally not a dime to his name. And she's going through the court proceedings to milk him for every single little bit that he owns.
For all of his life. That will be all of the rest of his life as a slave.
It gets better because their second child just turned a year old. They had a child through this mess. To think that a child would actually heal their situation and heal their relationship, when looking at it, that's no. You know what you need is some marriage counseling. What you need is some sound advice, because you're not getting it from anywhere else.
Yeah, that sound advice beforehand. That's what we try to do. We get to these men beforehand. If that's not something that you're prepared to jump into, mistakes are devastating. And it's not just your future means so much to this country. Your future means so much to the people around you too. As a bright, educated young man in this society, the natural progression of this thing is you're going to go out into society. You're going to start a business. You're going to do what you do, or do what you do well in this society. Eventually, maybe we have lower IQs and people that are in this society that depend on men like us. And I've had this situation in my life just a few years ago, right before I started. The reason I started this Traversable Mgtow thing is because I had to sit there and lay off 2 men that had families.
Oh, wow.
Because I could no longer afford the whole thing. So I had the vans going, and I had to say, no, I have to sell these 2 vans. I have to lay off. This is the future for a lot of men. What I should be doing is employing 20, 30 men doing what I do, but somewhere in my past, I made those same mistakes every other man seem to be making nowadays. And then the systems ate away so much that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing anymore. I'm not that man that can provide for my community. And this was always supposed to be about community. It was supposed to be about me doing what I was, but they've sucked so much out of me that that is not left anymore. And that's the inevitable future for a lot of these men. And you don't just look at this as one guy, me or you, and I'm so self-centered. I'm looking at this at myself. I can see millions, 5.6 million men are going through that right now in this country.
Oh yeah.
5.6 million potential businesses are dropping out. 5 million businesses are being cannibalized right now. And we talk about unemployment. We talk about, this is how deep that knowing all those facts and figures. And this is how deep the hole goes. If every one of those 5.6 million men were employing 2 to 3 other men and families, that would take a huge chunk out of our deficit. That would take a huge chunk out of our social debt. But
exactly.
the system itself is eating its own tail.
Oh, it is. And what I was saying about a hive mind mentality, I've noticed being someone who's different, thinks different, looks at different aspects of life and society and education, or religion, from a different perspective. You're really cannibalized by society. They take you and just put their hooks in you and try to form you, try to make you into something that's socially susceptible to them, acceptable, excuse me. I mean, I feel like that would take a huge chunk out of our deficit, and our deficit honestly has come from a lack of sound mind, sound judgment, and a poor leadership. Oh, exactly. Where I even work, my manager, who is a feminist, which is my manager's a feminist. So I had got on the topic of when we were sitting outside enjoying a cigarette and having a conversation, and then of course me being the guy who's not afraid to have a conversation or to bring up heated or maybe somewhat sore topics to a woman, I started dumping out, some information as she started talking to me about what she believed. And I realized, I'm like, holy shit, I could say one wrong thing right now and be fired for verbal harassment or sexual harassment even. Or a slew of things, hate speech, or anything, and it's, to try to live and succeed in this current market we're in. I hate having to take, the back seat. I don't want to be that guy when somebody starts a conversation or heated conversation or throws a topic up in the air. I'm not wanting to sit back. And the fact is, you almost have to be docile. Otherwise, it's a loss of job and a loss of money and employment. And I'm, and as much as I want to be like, look, this is how I look at things. This is how you look at things. But where we're both in management and both responsible adults, we should be able to take this and go, look, what, I see your points. I see your values and what you're speaking of. But at the same time, we have different opinion, but you really, really, you can't touch certain buttons. Certain buttons are off limits with women nowadays. And, I've only met a few women that are actually able to sit down and be like, what, well, I see where you're coming from. It's those fabled mystical things called the waltz. They're like unicorns. You might see one in your life, you might not. But right. But no, it's I feel, and I've been struggling with that that topic in my mind because I see it so many times. Women don't relationship down, they relationship up. Men are the same way. A man would rather be with somebody successful, somebody strong-minded, being able to hold on a decent conversation, somebody well-educated than your average cashier at a McDonald's or server at a Red Lobster. Yeah, we want substance. But the fact is, if I would be like, ma'am, no, I'm sorry, but I'm not interested, I'm suddenly being judgmental. I'm suddenly being the asshole where I was just giving you a, hey, you know what? You seem like a nice individual, but I'm not interested. With women nowadays, I've seen it, and I've actually witnessed a woman with one of my good friends. She had told my friend, you either sleep with me or I'm gonna let everybody know that you sexually harassed me. Yeah, and I'm over here. This was a few years back, and I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me? Are you really? Does this shit really happen? Because I've heard about it, but I've never seen it. And the fact is women have that almost that privilege, if you will, to say something of a man if they're not. If a man makes an advance, I remember when I was in high school, and my dad remembers his days when you could make an advance towards a woman, and she'd either give you a smile and a nod and walk away, or she would be like, hey, it's a pleasure to meet you. My name is such and such. Nowadays, it's even looking a woman dead in the eye is like grounds for sexual harassment. And I'm just like, where did we go wrong? It's just like, I remember growing up, being born in the 80s, growing up in the 90s. And I mean, I wasn't aware, being so young, but I wasn't aware of what was changing. And I feel like this feminist movement, this recent feminist movement over the course of the 2000s, the early 2000s it's taking a huge shift. And now women feel quote unquote empowered, and I feel like everybody should have their sense of empowerment, should not be afraid to be who they are and to be out there in the community and being able to communicate without shame or guilt. But nowadays it just seems, oh my God, like I can't even wrap my mind around it, Traversable. Sometimes I'm just coming into this and over the course of the past several months and learning all this and going, I want to find that patient zero.
You're still looking for the Nawalt. Yeah, we call them a Walt, and that theory comes out to be, we realize at some point that they all are a Walt. All women are that way.
Oh yeah, they are. My thing is finding where did society take this huge, this shift? The dynamic has changed.
Yeah. It's a legislation and the gun in the room. Are you familiar with the gun in the room theory?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, the gun in the room. They always have the gun. Like you said, she was going to pull out the gun in the room and say, use the silver bullet of rape. She was going to make a rape accusation if he didn't sleep with her and he didn't give her. And that could lead to another gun in the room of child support and all that. And that's where we men are right now. That's what we have to deal with. When you have female people in charge or female bosses and everything, and they see you sexually the same way you see them. If they want that, they get very aggressive, and they are very aggressive at that. We've seen this with school teachers, and the percentage of school teachers that rape little boys is fucking unfounded now. It's just fucking unfounded. There's so many cases. Look at any local news in any state and any local paper, you're going to see at least one female teacher that was raped a little boy, and is probably going to get off.
Exactly. And you know what gets me though? It's when you have a male teacher who has a sexual relations with a student. Oh, it's a topic of discussion for weeks. It's in the papers. It's on social media. It's a segment on the 6 o'clock news. But when it comes to a female teacher, molesting or taking advantage of a male student, oh well,
Yeah,
most
he
people look,
wanted
well,
that.
you know what, he wanted that. Give him a round of applause, gentlemen, because you know what, he did what the rest of us could not. No, that's not. That
No,
is not.
no.
No, you're in a role of responsibility. You're teaching a future generation, and you're caring for a future generation and shaping and molding them. Why the fuck are you taking advantage of them? Because if it was me in that teacher role and it was a female student, this would be a completely different topic of discussion right now.
Right.
It
Yeah.
would be
We
the polar opposite.
we actually have men running around there right now, 24, 25 years old, that are paying their strong, independent rapist child support. It's like, and then we say these things like that, and we get called misogynists, we get called haters, we get called, the Mgtow guys are just, no, but think about that statement. There's a guy right now, probably in your state, in your neighborhood, that is paying his strong, independent rapist child support and maybe alimony. It's like, wow, that's the society we live in now. And they come at us and they say, why are you guys like this? Why are you guys walking away? Why are you guys acting like? Well, no, just look at that single statement there. That's why we're walking away. That's why we don't want this no more. That's why we're protecting ourselves. That's why we're being the rational males we are.
We are. And you know what? I don't feel like Mgtow is taking, I don't feel like Mgtow is taking a back seat to anything, which I've heard that phrase used before. I feel like, you know what? We finally got out of the car. We finally opened the door. We finally got out of the car and finally said, you know what? I'm not going there. I'm taking my own path, and when I finally figured out what Mgtow was, Mgtow Jesus, came to me and he was just like, hey, have you ever heard of Mgtow? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? That sounds hilarious. The acronym alone, no. But I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I started watching videos, and not just from a couple different channels, but maybe dozens. And then I realized, I'm like, is this really going on, or am I just uninformed? And I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I'll correct
that's
myself.
a good question. Why were you so uninformed?
Yeah, well, the fact is, our media. I mean,
Our media, right.
and I'm not, and believe me, I'm not one of those theorists that believes, the media. Well, whatever. My thing is, the media does not give attention to these situations and these happenings at all. And when the situation's flipped, that's all I see on television. That's all I see on social media. That's all I see on the text lines is, hey, this male teacher, this man raped, quote unquote, this woman, this man took advantage of this woman. But I'm like, where have I seen anywhere a woman taking advantage of a man? Because I've heard plenty of stories of, just an example of another friend. I have a very colorful spectrum of friends.
Okay.
Well,
Most of us do.
yeah, and one of them, I was about 20 years old. I had went to a party, and he, well, just long story short, he got extremely intoxicated and he was taken advantage of. Well, months later, she got pregnant. She had found out she was pregnant about a month and a half later, and missing her period, morning sickness and all that mess, and she kept the child.
And she kept the child.
But then had stated, well, I was taken advantage of. Well, as a character witness, I didn't go to court for it just because at the time I wasn't showing my face in a courthouse. And I had wrote out a 4-page paper, on the details of everything that happened that night. What, I was of sound mind. And I had told them exactly what had happened. That he was inebriated to the point I don't even think he had any motor function.
Okay.
Yeah. And he's, if I'm not mistaken, he's probably paying child support and,
paying child support.
Yeah, a recent story. I had gotten in touch with a good childhood friend when I moved to this state, and 3 children. The first child, the girlfriend took the child and is siphoning off child support, roughly about anywhere from $600 to $700 a month. He lives in a very I wouldn't say extravagant. I mean, it's a very middle class neighborhood, but he has 2 children with his now current wife, and we found out. I did a little bit of snooping. Come to find out, she had been using on it everything from drugs to TVs to game systems to clothes, and the child is wearing clothes too small, looks horrible for its age, looks underdeveloped. And my thing is, I'm like, why are you letting this happen? I feel like you are letting this happen. There's a time when you fucked up. You know what? Maybe you left, maybe you cheated, maybe you had a child with another woman, maybe something happened along the way and you split. Maybe it was mutual. But there's times when this had happened, like, this instance here, he had left her. And as retaliation, she started siphoning off his wealth. And poor guy, trying to come up in the world. He comes from the same kind of background as I did. We were younger, we're stupid, run-ins with the law. But we're close to 30 years old now, and we're actually functioning members of society, contributing, and taking a stand. I have actually turned him on to Mgtow. I'm trying to bring him into the fold, so to speak. I know I consider myself possibly a spectator, but wanting to be an active part of this community. I feel like from what I've seen, what I've heard, what I've witnessed, I feel like I do have some stories that are great examples. But long story short, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this back over to Mgtow Jesus.
Okay.
He's over. He's probably
stories and your stories and your experiences are golden to us because it reminds us of how things are out there.
They are.
We get in there and we insulate ourselves, and we know we insulate ourselves, but often we have to rehash these things, how dangerous things can be, where these things can go. And I appreciate you being on. Do you have an avatar name or a name that we can refer to you as?
Well, I can think of one. Well, I can think of one on the spot. Just call me Taurus.
Taurus, okay. Okay. If you get a YouTube account in the future, or we communicate in the future, I'll just call you Taurus. And thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you. Well, here is Mgtow Jesus, guys. It was a pleasure.
Okay, thank you.
Well, hello again, audience. This is Mgtow Jesus back, and here I am, full on red pill. How are you guys?
Okay, full on red pill, yeah. So a developing young man, developing into Mgtow. That's what we can take from this, and it's a rough process at first. There's so much, the red pill when you first take it is like, wow, it's like, oh God, I see it now, but I can't quite articulate it.
Yeah.
And then we start looking over our society, what we have to live in, what our lives, and we could, I see where I was this way and I was this way. And that's a hard thing to release. We forgive ourselves for that because that's the way they made us. That's the way they formed us. They did when they were developing that clay in the schoolrooms and the gyms and the sporting events. They were developing that clay to be full on blue pill, weren't they?
Yep, they really were.
And
every insert, every day, it was full blue pill brainwashing.
Full blue pill, but that's hard to get rid of. It's hard.
Here's what's really scaring me. Traversable. I'm looking at this unopened box of Plan B here.
Okay.
And
What's it say?
You know what I mean? The morning after pill, and she left, knowing that he was going to go get the pill. She left. Like, I'm trying to get my mind around it. Like, how is it?
Well, there's going to only be one. If you look at it from her perspective, there's only one thing that she could be thinking of. Yes, she wants to keep the baby. 2, she wants a protector provider for the next 18 years. You know what should come on the side of those morning after pills? and I always thought legislation would help this. It should be registered when you bought that, and it should be registered who you bought it for. And what you're really saying is, this is a contract between me and her that we don't want a baby. This is my my male abortion rights being enacted here, where my body, my choice. I'm saying that I don't want this baby, and this is, it should be like a legal contract when you buy one of those, and then you put her name on her, she signs it or whatever. If you do this, and if that could be possibly done, that yes, this is the abortion contract that we have. But they won't go that far, will they?
They won't. They never will, because they don't want us to have control over our reproductive rights. They don't.
Yeah, they don't.
Because the moment that the funny thing is, we're gaining control of it, not through medication or through science or technology. We're gaining control of it through social economics right now.
Yeah, social economics and how we think. We're not going to put ourselves in those situations anymore.
Exactly.
That means double up on a condom. Double up on a condom. And better yet, us Mgtow monks say, we believe in a chaste, society, and just don't do it. If you can get yourself to a point, that's the hard part about most guys is at the end, not being that male whore, not being that guy. There's a solace at the end of that.
Mm-hmm.
There's riches to be had. There's a solace in the way you look at yourself, and that overcomes. That is the freedom, and that solace along with the obviously riches that you will be have.
Taking it back
overcomes that drive, that sexual drive, and it really does.
Well, you have up to 70. Hold on. My roommate's about to take the Plan B pill back and get it returned for the money. But the thing is, it's effective up to 72 hours. It's more effective the sooner you take it, though.
Yeah.
Like, you need to get on the phone with her hard. Do you want me to call her? I'll call her right now. I'll put her on speakerphone, and we'll do it over live.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll get it recorded. What's her number?
Shit. I can't do that.
Dude, she's not gonna fuck you again. So you may as well just give me your number, and I'll call her. She won't know who the number is, so she'll probably answer. Yeah, of course. Here, let me. Here, give me the. Just give me the. Hold on. Just give me the number. Come on. 704. Look, see, I'm already there. I'm halfway there. Come on.
Already there. Oh, well, we have a live event unfolding in front of
our
eyes here on the Traversable Mgtow Throwdown, which I'm sure no women are watching.
All right, come on. What's the number?
Something said you went in my phone and took the number.
Okay, well, that's whatever. What's the number? Come on.
845.
All right.
Oh, don't give it over to you.
Hold on. Yeah, hold on.
All these guys would be calling her going, "You whore." So we're trying to unfold a live event for you guys that are listening.
Okay, guys, you ready?
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna unfold this live event. We're not. I know how to handle this. I'm great with words. We're going to call this woman who he bought her. For those who are just now tuning in, my roommate had sex with a woman. He was high and drunk, busted in her. And he went to go get her a Plan B pill, and she split. She got in her car and drove off. And then she won't answer his calls or anything like that. She won't get back to him, and needs him to, he needs her to take this Plan B pill. So I'm going to give her a call. And so you may hear things, and we'll see where this goes. Hope she answers.
Yeah, it'd be good to hear her point of view on this.
I got it on speaker. Can you guys hear that?
Yeah.
You hear it ring?
Yeah, can you guys hear that in the
Oh, that's not fun.
Yeah, we could try back.
We'll try again later. She might call back.
Yeah.
I hope she doesn't sperm jack him. I hope she doesn't.
No, that's a awful way to think about your future. It's an awful. I've
it wouldn't be the worst. She seems okay, but if she ran off to do that, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for her to do that. I think she probably went and did it herself. She probably just wanted to get out of here because she was angry. Doesn't know how to handle her emotions because she's still a child, and then probably went and took her Plan B pill or whatever. Or maybe she was already on birth control and was just mad that he did that. I don't know.
Yeah,
No
but
idea.
that says something about wow. If you bring up the logical way to go about these things is very mature and very after you
Yeah, that's
have these
asking a lot. For her to be mature, right? Okay. So,
yeah, that's the
so
problem.
here's my
Yeah,
thing: if he accidentally busts, if this happens, like little accident happens during sex, and you freak out like that, and you act like a child and run off and block people and all that, you know what? You have no fucking business coming over to a guy's house that you barely know and having sex with him. You have
yeah.
no business putting yourself in that kind of situation and then not. Yeah, you're
Right.
not ready.
This
She's
is
not ready.
affecting this is affecting more people than just her,
She's
and she doesn't see.
29 years old.
Yeah, she's 29 years old. She's immature. She can't see behind her wants and desires and needs, and eventually it will affect his life if it goes to that extent, and it will affect that child's life. And if that little boy is raised by this immature woman, guess what we have? We have another potential.
Yeah.
A potential just crazy person, or it would be so hard for a boy.
It'd be so
to
hard for him to
escape.
see the child, especially with his history. It'd be nearly impossible for him to have any sort of connection with that child.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's-
Now we're
and-
talking. We're
and he would
talking
be an
about
amazing
another.
father. He'd be a better father than me, but he
Yeah.
can't. With his history, he just wouldn't be able to. So if she wanted to, she could basically get a paycheck out of this guy for the next 20 years, and and he could never really have any contact with the child at all.
And
The
yeah,
occasional happy birthday letter.
happy birthday. I'll take you to
So,
McDonald's, and we
this is
talked
like-
about that McDonald's incident. You go on a Saturday and look around. You guys do this. Could do this.
Yeah,
Go down to a McDonald's on a Saturday, and look at all those.
Oh, the
young
handoffs?
men. All the handoffs down there, and all the men sitting there with 1, 2 children sitting there being the McDonald's dad on Saturday. It's
Yep.
fucking horrifying.
It is, and it's really bad for the black community. And I see that all the time. And a lot of times, these men, they want to be good fathers, and they just
they wanna
because
be
of the
good
stigma that's carried on with them, they're not able to get any of the kind of respect they need. But because the black women are women, they get the kind of treatment that they need from the government. But because the black men are men and black, they are the canary, man. They are the canary in the coal mine, and you see this happening to them, and it's just only going to get worse. Once it becomes socially acceptable, nobody even bats an eye or looks twice. It's going to start happening to everybody.
Yeah, we could look at the racial, and it's not really a racial thing, isn't it? It's just in the black community, it's so much more exaggerated now. We're talking about 70% of men out there are single fathers or single mothers, and 70% are single. And that may be under exaggerated a statistic, because I'm thinking when I looked at Tommy Sotomayor and guys like that, they're giving 82 to 80, almost 90% of these of women and have children without fathers in their lives, because they know one thing. They know the government's going to come in and be the daddy, but that's not a good replacement daddy. And you can look at. I know I deal with the problems around here every day in my life with my children. 2 of them grew up well functioning, and but the boy I have right now, he didn't get that the benefits of a well functioning father, and he didn't get the benefits of a well functioning society that's supporting him to do what he wants to do. And he's had some of the boyfriends abused him, and some of the boyfriends he was the child that I talk about that was kidnapped and tied to a chair for a month.
Oh, wow.
And I just look at him now, and this could have all been avoided if I was around, or if he was just in my care. And I wanted these kids to be in my care, but I had no choice on why he was kidnapped and tied to a chair. I was out here worrying about him. And we see these stories all. And my story is actually, it's not a common story. This is not going to happen to every one of you guys. And I'm not going to say that I hope that this doesn't happen to where you wake up one morning and get a phone call from the police department to pick up your children, and then learn of the horrible events that the baby mama had put him in. And she spent time in jail for that. She spent 8 months in jail, while he got 5 years, the next 5 years, and he's still in jail now. But Who's going to fix this after? The society's looking at me going, hey, Dad, take your child now and fix what we fucked up. And I love my boy. I love my boy tremendously. You can't even feel the love I have for my children. But I got to do that now. After they stole my resources, after they put me in this horrible position, after they made me into a secondhand citizen, they're throwing the boy back on me, and I'll do it because that's the kind of man I am. But they're giving me this broken child now that they broke, and saying you're not going to get no help from us. You just got to do it. Man up, Joe. And no, I'm going to man the fuck out, and I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do as a human. But every time I get a chance to take a shot, guess where I'm going to take that shot?
Well, here's something I did want to cover over with you is the now that we got the viewers on, we could talk about the that video that was put out about the Christian view of Mgtow.
Oh yeah, that Christian guy. Yeah.
So you said you had 6 points that you really stuck out to you. You want to start us off?
Yeah, I don't have them written down. I have them separated in my. I'd have to open up my. Let me open up my. I don't know if I can do this on air, but let me open up my my video editor, and then I got them in the time track. And if you guys want, we can listen to them one at a time because I have them separated and divided into my timelines. If I didn't lose it, we had a big windstorm here the other day. Oh yeah, I lost it. So we'll go out and chat a little bit while I try to track down these because I have to go back. And when we had the windstorm, I was making this video and it knocked the video off, and I lost the video I was working on, and now it's not showing up. So I have to do a little deeper digging. But
well, one of the things I thought was hilarious was earlier. This reminded me you were talking about how like we will be more self-realization, or no, we'll find solace in the in our celibacy, or at least solace in our reserved action on sex, like how we reserve our act upon it. And what I liked about that was in that video, the gentleman spoke about how at first he said how we advocate celibacy and how we advocated control in that sense, and we were more careful. But then, and that was probably like in the first 3 minutes of the video. However, around the 20th minute or so, near the last couple of minutes of the video, he then says that we idolize sexuality because of our disparage against marriage. That's what he said. I was like, wait, which one is it? Do we either worship going out and get was he talking about pickup artists?
Yeah, he was associating us with pickup artists.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, wait, but earlier you just said that we were like the opposite of that. I don't understand. So I thought that was like a ridiculous point to make. But
okay, can you hear that in the background?
Not really.
Let me see.
I'm trying to get Insensitive Bastard in here, but I don't know his email. Maybe I can. Oh wait, here we go. I'm gonna invite him to this thing here.
Who is that?
Insensitive Bastard. Do I have to give him the link on the top?
Yeah, just copy and paste it, send it to him, or you can go in the low bar there, or the high bar, and let me see where it's at. I can show you where it's at. You go up there and you see the people, invite people, and then you click on that. If his name's in your, if he's in your G Plus account, his name, if you start typing the letters out, it should come up his name.
No, he's not. I sent him the link. I think we had talked on here. I just sent him the link in our Google Plus. So Insensitive, if you're watching, I think you are. Go ahead and go to your Gmail, and then you'll see the message there from me.
Yeah. Now I got these things in front of me. I can listen to them real quick and go back and tell you what he said. But if we got somebody else that kind of goes over the better, that would be better. Zeta made a video about that.
Hey, there he is.
Hello, guys. How are you guys doing today?
Hey, Sensitive Bastard. It's good to see you, bud. I've been really enjoying your videos that you've been putting out lately.
Well, I don't know. I just kind of shit it up lately.
Okay.
Well, I haven't put anything out in a while. Nothing really relevant. It's good to have you. We were just I know you're probably catching up because when you're in the chat room you get a little behind. We're talking about the have you seen the recent video that Zeta reposted? A few others reposted was the Christian worldview of Mgtow.
I got about halfway into it before I got sick of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's hard to get by that, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, I
It's
love. Go ahead.
they're trying to take traditionalism and push it as like a red pill theory, and it's completely horseshit.
You want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, like okay, so marriage. When we're talking about traditionalism, what we're really discussing is marriage, right?
Right.
And there's not. I don't care if you come from a religious aspect or you come from a secular aspect. A marriage is gynocentric. It's toxic, and I don't see how you can justify that by using the power of the divinity. I mean, it just doesn't work.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a false equivocation. Marriage is a civil religion, and we all know that the government controls this civil religion. That it's a plus for the actual religions to jump in on this and say, we support it. And there's always this thing with them where it's that Rome thing with them. Pay your taxes and do the right thing like that. But they take it a little too far with this marriage thing, and they consider it as a civil obligation to go out there, have children, get married, give your utility, support this family atmosphere that they have, and by the way, you will be subjected to a sort of slavery on this thing, and they think it's a God-given right.
Well, I touched on this briefly in my Mgtow versus racist videos, and basically what happens is it's another system of shame, right?
Yes, it's another system of shame.
Get on the plantation, right? And they want to use the power of God to shame men onto the plantation, right? That's all it is. Bottom line.
It's power of fear. It's really what it is.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was finished. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Like, and Zeta's probably about to get in here. But one of the things about that video was he talked about like the sin, and he said that like being alone or basically like taking advantage of things is a sin, and being greedy is a sin, but also like checking out society and isolating yourself is a sin. And I'm like, where are you getting this description? He's going off these interpreted verses about how, for example, it gave like a poetic description. He's like, how can you be warm when you're alone? And it was all this other stuff that was written by one of those guys back then. And he's just talking about how like being in isolation and things like that, it's just a sinful way of life. Like checking out of society is a sin. And it's like, of course it is. Of course, whatever would keep the church from getting more money and propagating a population to continue its relevancy is a sin. Anything that would hurt their ability to maintain a church is a sin. And so of course they want you back on the plantation. They want you back, getting married. They want you to pump out kids, and they want you paying tithes. And if you come up with anything else that has no harm to anyone else and is nothing but beneficial to your life and beneficial to those who are near you, but it doesn't propagate the church, it's a sin.
It's a sin, yeah. And what does it? He has a very limited ideal on individualism and individualistic. Now, Jung, if you read Jung, he'll tell you individualism is great. It comes from the collective unconscious. You become your own person, and you make decisions in your life that benefit you. And what he's talking about is individualistic people.
Yep.
That are selfish. Now, he's falsely equating us with selfishness and being individuals, but there's still nothing wrong with that. There's still nothing wrong with saying, hey, I'm going to buy a house for myself. I'm going to live in this house alone. I'm going to have my friends over when I want to have my friends over. I'm going to think about things how I that's what we have in America. That's called freedom.
Right, and he sees it as a selfish lifestyle that's inherently sinful. He sets up the straw man argument. That's what he does.
Yeah,
He's like, okay, so this is a sin. We can all agree, right? Being completely selfish and all that's a sin. Okay, have you ever heard of Mgtow?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
okay,
Oh, yeah.
all
These
right.
guys are the
I don't think
selfish
I'm very
bastards.
selfish when I help my friends out. I give up my own room for so someone can get out of a bad relationship. When I, give up my car so somebody can make it to work for a little bit longer before they get their car. I don't think I'm very selfish in that sense.
No,
And ask
we're
for
a plus
nothing
to
in
our
return
society.
besides
Well, I mean,
respect.
religions aren't stupid. They know who butters their bread, right? And
Yeah.
that's why and they're not. They're not fucking stupid, right? Like that's why they go to such great lengths to try to shame men into these fucking marriages, because they know that a man, because he's producing for a wife and fucking kids and everything else, he's got a lot of capital that he could just throw all nilly willy.
Yep.
They're not
Right.
fucking stupid.
Oh yeah, they can see that. If you take a single Mgtow, for example, he's going to build wealth. All they're doing is, you know what they're doing? They're idolizing the wealth. He's that golden cow. They're looking at him for the slaughter, and they're saying, don't pretend like that's not happening.
Yeah.
Pretend like
It's funny because I will say this though, in the middle of his video, between I'd say minutes like 7 to 18 or so, he was actually giving Mgtow a fair shake.
Yeah.
The fact that he was talking about like what it is that we are focused on, and he was talking. First he started off with his bullshit, then ended with his bullshit, but in the middle, he was talking about like the issues that men face, how they're being treated in the law, how they're being treated at schools, how they're being treated in marriages, how they're being treated in relationships and birthing rights and all this kind of stuff, and just how the laws are just really screwed over for men. I'm sitting there imagining as he's talking about how wives have basically like owned their men and that the men are screwed and they can't do anything. And I'm thinking to myself, I bet these women are sitting there in these pulpits right now, and they're just like, or pews, and they're just like, they will not, like, they have the poker face. They won't look over at their husband or anything. They just look forward like they're pretending that they're not hearing anything that's being said.
I'm not hearing that.
And they're looking, and they're like giving the pastor the stink eye, like, shut up!
Don't tell the secret.
Dude, you're making a really good point right now. Shut up.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if the men are sitting there going, as they're like pretending like to sleep or whatever with their hands in prayer mode. They're like, wait, what? They're waking up and
he does hit on some of our topics, doesn't he? And he does try to be empathetic to our cause, and he minimalizes it.
Because it's from a Christian worldview. He still has a Christian worldview, and that right there is what's going to limit him. He's still going to be fair.
Yeah, it's like he's saying, "Oh, we all know this happens, but that's just the way it is."
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh no."
Oh, saith the Lord.
Thou saith the Lord. We all know this happens, but you guys just have to accept it.
Yeah. Well, and that's the price you have to pay because you were kicked out of Eden. It's like, well, wait.
Yeah, because you were kicked out of this metaphysical place in this book a long time ago that somebody made up, and you should just accept that. That's crazy. That's absurdism, isn't it?
Yeah. It's, but that's what I found was so funny about the video. I'd like just watched the video and then you had called me. I couldn't believe it.
Okay,
but
it was.
I wanted Zeta to get in here.
Yeah, that's what Zeta did. I haven't got time. Well, I have it, but then I lost we had the big windstorm. If anybody was in Chicago down to probably Pennsylvania last week or just the other day when that windstorm came through, I got my electric knocked out right when I was making that video. And I told Zeta I was going to make that video, and I was like, well, when the electric gets knocked out, my program loses all information, and everything I did for the last hour and a half, 2 hours, was destroyed.
Oh my gosh!
Traversable. You should use a program called Lightworks. It actually won't. It saves edits as you go along.
Save? Yeah, I've got the saved, but it saves it, and now I have to go into the back ends of the program and start pulling up and putting down into the timeline what I had. So it saves the increments and everything I have, but I just have to refigure out how I did it again and re-go over the whole process. I have it on, I don't know how I can get it from my, I have the whole conversation cut up into the segments and the 6 points he made. But I'd have to kind of unplug and put my microphone up against the speaker so you guys would hear it. And I don't know if we're going to get an echo. So we can kind of go over
as long as you mute your Mgtow, or as long as you mute the live feed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, I could do that one at a time. If you guys want to go over the one at a time 6 points that he made, I could do that.
I'm game. Fuck it,
Okay,
whatever.
you want to do this?
Oh,
or I
Zane
could
is
just,
here.
or I could just play it.
How you doing, guys? Can you hear me okay?
We hear you. I think.
Good.
Hey Zeta, do you have that video? Can you stream it right to this where everyone can hear it?
I should be able to. You mean stream it now, live, direct?
Actually,
Yeah,
hold
just
on.
6 points that he brought up because we wanted to kind of go over this.
Okay, let me work.
I once tried this on a live feed, which exactly you're trying to do, and we'll be able to hear it, but the audience won't.
The audience. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Because Google Plus is fucking stupid like that.
Unless I do it through my microphone.
And then it's all
Yeah, it would probably be streamed best through Joe because he's hosting it, right?
Okay, yeah, let me see. Let me just do a little bit here.
Did you have any idea who the actual pastor was? Like, does he have a name?
Well, yeah, I've got. I actually ripped that off.
Oh, Jeff Riddle.
Yeah, so
I'm gonna get more coffee. I'll be right
Island
back.
Cyclone just put it up there for me.
Yeah.
Island also said something really interesting earlier. He said that his talk on feminism was less pointed than the Mgtow. You know what? I think maybe because part of what the Mgtow message was actually hit home for Jeff Riddle just a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably made more sense to him than Mgtow does, and he was like, well, okay, how do I play the gymnastics in my head to make this fit into my Christian worldview?
Okay, let me do this and let me see. Let me know if you guys hear any feedback from it, and I'll try to mute the sound out on my as soon as it starts, and then I'll play it's about 6 minutes worth, and then we'll go over and talk about this. So let me get this going here. Press play.
It is a rejection of the biblical view of manhood and womanhood, and it fails to see women as the spiritual equals of men. Genesis 1:27 again, God made us male and female in his own image. We're both image bearers, so it fails to have a biblical view of the spiritual equality of men and women. Secondly, it lacks the understanding of sin, and particularly the understanding of sin as universal. Romans 3:23, one of the verses we often quote in evangelism, the Romans Road Plan of Salvation, where it says that all sin and fall short of the glory of God. Women are not worse sinners than men. Men are not worse sinners than women. Men and women are sinners. Feminists sometimes demonize men. They also do not have a proper conception of the. Third, the Mgtow movement fails to understand the beauty of the one man, one woman, one flesh union which lasts a lifetime. Man was not made to be alone. In fact, in Genesis 2, when man is made and he's alone, God sees that he's lonely and he needs a helper fit for him.
Okay, that's up to the 2 point there.
Well, yeah. I get this name back.
Did you
Real quick.
guys hear that okay?
Yeah, we heard that fine. That came out really good. One of the things I immediately wanted to point out right there was that he says we have a lack of understanding of sin.
Yeah.
Right? That we don't understand what sin is. Well, you know what? From a Christian worldview, I'm not a Christian anymore, but I was. And as far as I knew, anything. Okay, because look, you could look at different religions, and some religions, we'll say, like Jehovah's Witnesses, for example, they don't celebrate any holidays outside of a wedding. They'll have weddings. They'll celebrate a wedding because it's unto God, right? Anything that would distract them from God, any sort of celebration or anything like that that would distract them from God is considered sinful. Well, that's their worldview of what's considered sinful. Basically, TV, music, fancy clothes, any sort of vanity for yourself, any sort of confidence in yourself, any sort of self-entertainment that would distract you from God is considered a sin. So, well, they could say the same thing about him, that he doesn't understand the concept of sin. And I think that's, so his argument right there means nothing. On the sense that I understand the concept of sin. What do you think is more sinful, really? Like, what's more really sinful? A man gets with a woman, turns out he's not really interested in her. She had sex with him, but then it didn't work out, and she feels like she was used. Okay, that sucks. Or how about when a woman gets with a man, has him fall in love with her, marries him, has him pay off all her college loans, and the day he pays her college loans, she divorces him and takes half his earnings. Which one do you think's really bad? Like, which one's the sin here? The one that lied to him for the last 12 years? Or the one-night stand that really didn't go the way she wanted? Like, which one's really the sin? You know? But but then here, when you start to measure it, that's when they spin that Christian worldview back and say, well, God sees all sin equally. You know, thieves and murderers, adulterers, all that, it's all the same. You know, if you looked at another woman and you coveted her while you were with a woman, then you're just as bad as an adulterer. You know? He just throws it, just sums it all in, just throws it all in the same bucket. You know, and that's how they get around answering the hard questions like that. That's how they get around answering those moral questions.
Very
He's
solid.
given her.
So no, go ahead.
Yeah, he's giving her the pass, isn't he? He's giving females and he's placing them on like a Mother Madonna thing, isn't he? And
completely
it's like,
immoral beings,
oh,
absolutely. Oh,
yeah.
no. These men have walked away from women because they don't understand sin. You know what? No, I understand women, so therefore I understand sin.
Yeah, I understand.
You know what I'm saying? I understand it. And it sounds terrible saying it like that, but, you know, I understand exactly what sin is. Sin is just a descriptive term for anything you would do that wouldn't bring the church money. That's what sin is, in my opinion.
Okay,
Some of the chat room think I'm a retard, but obviously they haven't stuck around long enough.
yeah. Let's do this fourth one.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's take a look at this.
Fourth problem of Mgtow, it depersonalizes and makes an idol of sexuality by disparaging in particular the institution of marriage and urging simply the satisfaction of sexual desires in non-biblical ways. Paul in 1 Corinthians 6:18 wrote to the believers at Corinth, and in 1 Corinthians 6:18 he said in particular, flee fornication. Every sin that a man doeth is without the body, but he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body. And also in the book of Hebrews, which
Okay, now at that point, he's doing the PUA. He's kind of equating us to PUAs,
Yeah.
isn't he?
Yeah, and then I mean, okay, and you know what sucks is earlier in the video he even said that we advocate for celibacy and that some Mgtow are so at the point where they don't even associate with women on even a social level as much as possible, and there's others out there who socialize with them and everything, but they just don't have any craving, they don't pursue any sort of endeavor to sleep with women or sleep with anyone.
Yeah. So as much as as much as he did his research, and obviously this guy did his research. I think Zeta said this guy did his research, and I can respect that.
Yeah, I think out of everybody, he's the one that did the research. You know, outside of the emotionality, you know, namely women, that's more entertainment for us. But I think it's the merit of the fact that he pointed out certain facts that hey, we're talking about it now. I looked at my site and my channel, and I've got more downvotes. This is probably the video that got more downvotes than anything else. So obviously it's all about getting the discussion going.
Yeah. So he as much as he did his research, he disregarded the fact that most of us and a lot of us. Well, I don't know if it's most or a lot now. I can't say all or nothing here, but most of us are chaste now because of Mgtow. We understand the inherent risks of it, and there is this segment in Mgtow called the Mgtow monks that are probably, if you were looking at men of holy stature, I would think these Mgtow monks were far above what he's projecting and what he's saying to do. These men are like, God, they're like the Pope, you know. We don't do those things. But he's just falsely equating it with that PUA image that he's seen in the press.
Let me throw something in there, Joe. When you bring up Mgtow monks, and it's a very loosely put term, and you know, Messenger has talked about the secular aspect, about what we're doing as monks, Mgtow monks. But there's one word, and I've said it before, and I'm going to repeat it again. Really, it's the practice of renunciation. Right. Where I find we're a secular bunch, but if you're not looking at renouncing, okay, I mean that's what Mgtow really is, right? And then you formulate your life accordingly. from that renunciation. I mean, study
Right.
what other monks have done out
We're
there.
doing it. He's saying it.
Yeah.
Well, like I consider myself like a level 1 kind of guy, right? And I'm not really sold on the levels either, but whatever. For the sake of this conversation, I'll just adhere to it. Like to me, I don't spend energy chasing women, right? I don't do the pussy begging and all that bullshit that the MRAs and PUAs do, right? I enrich my life for my own benefit, and if women don't approve or society doesn't approve, well, fuck you. That's just my point of view, and I see women as a consumable just as much as I would a plastic bottle that comes with a bottle of water.
Okay. Yeah, so this guy's definitely got he's intertwining his views and how he believes with what he believes are bills, and he's projecting us. You guys want to listen to this next segment?
Sure, let's do it.
Let me do this again. I have to do it a specific way and try not to get reverb.
You're doing good.
Fifth problem with Mgtow from a biblical Christian perspective, it rejects man's basic need for community and the places where God has ordained that we find it. We find it in the family, in the church, and in society. And we need relationships in all three of those spheres in order to be healthy, full, and fulfilled human beings. I want to go back to the passage I read right at the beginning, Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 to 12, which may be one of the greatest statements about man's need for community and the advantages of community. Two are better than one because they have a good reward for their labor. But if they fall, one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, for he hath not another to help him up. Again, if two lie together, then they have heat. But how can one be warm alone? And if one prevail against him, two shall withstand him, and a threefold cord is not quickly broken. I think as Christians, we sort of take for granted that we need community. We need community.
Yeah.
It's the same old bullshit, huh? Oh, you got to do it because of society. You got to do it because of community. You got to do it because it's the same old bullshit.
That's egalitarianism at its finest, isn't it? And then he specifically says in the beginning there, community is where he finds it, and the only place he finds it is in the church. It's his place to find that community, and there's a specific area that there's no other community. Like Mgtow can't be a community, a group of men working together for the betterment of our society. Single men can't be a community because he says so.
Right. And that's the thing, was he even said that like men need camaraderie, or what was it, companionship or something, or to be part of a group, and that Mgtow are basically saying like denying that of ourselves.
Right.
I think that's the most misspoken thing you could do. I mean, I find more camaraderie and more of a communal thing here in Mgtow than I ever did in the Christian religion. It was pretty much me, and if I found a girl, then I was lucky, and if I didn't, well, praise be the Lord. Like it was.
Praise be the Lord.
Yeah.
That's the only place you're going to find this fulfillment in life. Yeah. That's in his worldview, like you said. That's the only place you're going to find it is. And then he goes to the simp. He says, he gives the passage, if two lie together. If two lie together. Now he's talking about sex there. Yep. Unless you have this sex, unless you do this thing, who's the simp here? Who's the white knight? Who's the pussy beggar? Who's the immoral fuck here? The guys that are saying, no, I'm not going to do that, and I could find fulfillment elsewhere, the Mgtows, or is he telling on himself? He's begging the question right there, isn't he?
He really is, because he wants to start off with talking about like how we are basically like sexual sinners and the deviants that we advocate for just pump them and dump them kind of thing, and it's ridiculous. We don't even want them. We don't even want them, and to find, he's talking about laying down in the bed, like the whole laying down thing, like being in, and then that could be metaphorically more things, but I think he like made to threefold, and I was really like, wait, we're talking about menage a trois real quick, and I think he meant man, woman, and God is a threefold
God,
thing.
yeah, like God wants to watch your sex.
Yeah, basically. Like, let him in, you know. Hey, I am Mgtow Jesus. I am available on weekends. I can help your relationship stay together.
Yeah, I can just watch it. Yeah,
I'll
this
just sit in
brings
the
in
corner. I'll light a
bedbugs.
cigarette. All you'll see is a burning ember in the darkness. It's fine.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
do
This
what
is
you're doing.
this is Thoreau, the father of the president of Canada, right now said we don't need the government in our bedrooms. That's what we're trying to get rid of. They're bed bugs. They're sitting there watching you have sex and then complaining that you're not doing it right or you're not doing it the way they want, and they're in our bedrooms and watching.
Of course, total control, man.
Total control. Yeah. They want total control on your life, and that's where this goes. Two lie down together. That's none of your freaking business, you know?
It's not even that far. Like, he's trying to go with the whole. I mean, it is that far. I mean, like, he's trying to go off the idea that he's trying to play off the men's fear of being alone, but all he's doing is securing the woman's fear of being alone. These women need men, and he's doing what he can to keep his commune together. He's like, okay, guys, you got to go out there. You got to find yourself a woman, and you gotta, get in bed with her, and you got to have kids because your community needs it. I need it. We need it. You need it. God needs you to do this. Like Patriarch said, it's not Patriarch. I'm sorry, Bastard said. It's all the same bullshit. You know, like I said, it's a religious worldview, and it's not the one that I share. I can understand from his view. Like I said earlier, he gave Mgtow a fair shake earlier in his video. He gave him a fair shake. He talked about some stuff that I was like, yes, that is some things that are very important to us. Thank you for being honest and doing the research. And then, of course, he finishes off with his worldview, which I personally don't hold, and I think contradicts itself. But
yeah. And this is being taught in front of kids in a catechism school, is it, Zeta?
No, I think this is just to his regular congregation. If you go to my channel, there's a link right there. That's where all his sermons are listed. That's where I ripped it for our purposes here.
Wow, I'm surprised he hasn't tried to hit you with a claim. That's been a recent thing too. Mm-hmm. Oh my God.
I kind of took a chance on that, but then again, hey, he picked a fight with us, so we're going to reply back, and that's what we do. And the thing about us is we have a language here at Mgtow, and it's a language that cuts through all the bullshit, and it's a language that it fosters what they even ask in the Christian view. God is life, God is love, and God is truth. We're dealing with truth at such a core that not the majority of people can't fucking handle it. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very well said. Very well said. Well, gentlemen, I have to get going. It's been a great couple hours, but I got to get something to eat, and I appreciate you guys having me on the show. And I'll definitely be seeing you again. So, next week, though, next Sunday I won't be able to. I do have to work, but the Sunday after that, I get every other Sunday off, so I'll do my best to pop in here and say hey.
Praise you, Jesus.
Oh, Zeta. and Bastard, keep making your videos, man. You make some good stuff. You know how to edit videos. I don't, so my stuff's always weak. But keep it up, man.
All right, thanks.
You're doing a great job.
You're doing a great job.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, man. Take care.
All right.
Who's going out?
And it's Mgtow Jesus leaving the room.
Oh, Mgtow Jesus. Okay, I had to go let the dog out there for a second. You guys want to go over this last part?
Yeah, why the fuck not?
Yeah. Let me do this thing again that I have to do. Okay.
Maybe there's somebody in the room that wants to join us.
The Mgtow movement elevates selfishness and self-centeredness. Christianity, on the other hand, calls on men and women to die to themselves and to live for Christ. And one of the greatest passages in which Jesus calls for discipleship is found in Luke 9, verses 23 and 24. Jesus said, "If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it. But whosoever will lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it." May God bless his word to our hearing and our hearts. Well, I'll pause here, having given you an overview
Okay. That was interesting. Right? Well, that's just they need to extract our utility. They know it, and you have to die to yourself.
Well, we're selfish because we do not want to become a utility.
Yeah.
That's that's selfishness.
Yeah, that's all that is. We're selfish because we don't want to be their utility. Because hey, we understand that there are lighter than air jobs out there. And matter of fact, he's got one of those lighter than air jobs that he's not going to be out in the field working. He's not the he's we all often call it going back to the farm. He's not going to be the guy out in the field working. He's
But that's just it, Joe. He won't realize that, what we have realized. That's the difference, and that's the discerning factor between him and whatever other denominations of Christianity out there are going to interpret that, because they will always go to their biblical interpretation and bound by. And as a result, they're not able to break through that truth that even says in their Bible, God is life, God is love, and God is truth. Maybe I'm speaking for myself, but I'm a truth junkie, especially the truth that I can't handle. As a Mgtow, that's what I strive for. That's my growth right there, is to be able to handle the truth that I can't, that I'm not conscious of yet. Yeah. That's it.
So that term, die to yourself, what does that mean? That means to be totally willing to give everything of yourself for this community that he has laid out for you. That's his community, not your community.
It's all metaphorical, Joe. Okay, die to Jesus. Die. That can be interpreted as you die in order to awaken, right? That can be interpreted in so many things. So, okay, thanks for putting it that way. Thanks for being so biblical. I interpret that as awakening, right, Bill? Right?
Yeah, I can agree.
Yeah, that's wow. It's just so you're telling another man. He's telling another man to give up everything about himself and just be totally 100% into this thing for the community and forget about himself, to forget about all of his wants, his desires, his dreams in life, and just go get a girl, get married, and do this thing that he wants you to do because that would make him happy. And for you, your reward on this is you may get to experience the being with this metaphysical God at the end. That's a lot of ifs, buts. To give up the only life you have, to be totally subservient to this community. The only life I will ever know. This is the only one I've got to work with. So he can have his lighter than air job, sermoning to these people, and we can have this picture in our head of this metaphysical God. That's a selfish statement, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And in parallel to that, how many Christians, and let's just look at America right now because of the number of denominations right there. How many Christians right now, let's say within this week, are going through a divorce proceeding?
Right.
Okay? Now, my question to him would be is, well, doesn't that apply to them too, who are getting divorced? Everything that you're talking about. So what is it? Is it your denomination the only one that's right based on what you're spewing, and all the other 30,000 denominations are wrong? Like this is how things get interpreted, man.
Yeah, he's got to be able to see that at least. He's got to be able to look out over this this society we live in and see that the divorce rate's at least 70% now. Or doesn't he do that? Will he never go that far?
Well, it's a serious omission on his part, Joe, if you really think of it.
That would be a serious admission on his part.
Omission.
Yeah, it's an omission on his part. And if he accepted that fact that maybe this thing ain't working, it would be an admission on his part. But
sure.
But he admits that from his life. He admits that possibility that all those people sitting on aren't happily married. There's 100% people out there that are happily married in his eyes and his views. That's a delusion.
Mm-hmm.
And that's serious.
That's worse than a delusion. I mean, that is just a complete separation of reality.
That's a complete separation of reality because
it's a cognitive dissonance right there. I mean, I like what Howard is saying here, to feel guilt and shame for even looking after your own well-being. No shit, Shylock.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's all Mgtow's doing is we want healthy, happy men engaging in society in a healthy, happy way, which benefits them also. That's all we want. That's not a lot to ask.
There have also been monks throughout history, in any denomination, in any spiritual practice, who have renounced and have lived long, happy, fruitful lives, and very helpful along the way too as well. In many denominations, there's another serious omission, right?
Yeah. We know one of the practicing principles of priesthood and monkhood. If you're looking at it in that specific religion or that religious that traditional religious society they have built, is renouncing women. So he's going against everything he says.
That's right. And let's face it, after, myself, after studying, how monks have lived throughout history, I mean, the renunciation of women is just a small part, okay, of whatever else they have to tackle. They have the rest of their mind to work with for their, for the rest of their lives. Their major, and one thing I will say here is the major challenge for a monk, a practicing monk, whether secular or whatever biblical, is loneliness. That's the challenge we have to deal with. And they have are still dealing with it. Loneliness is a fact, but it's a motivating factor too as well. There are many ways to look at this. There are many ways, but the bottom line here is when it comes to Mgtow, is as a man, you decide, you are self-directed. And you have all this arsenal and all these truths for you to uncover for yourself. And I think if there's a religion as that would be it.
Yeah, Mgtow is the better way to go. Now, what he's saying is, in his larger, if you're looking at a Jungian way, sort of Jungian way here, he's saying he's happy with his life with that lighter than air work and the community taking care of him and his needs and the woman's needs and all that, but when you dissect this, every society needs 30% slaves, and he's going, yes, be happy slaves, because we need those happy slaves. And what he's doing is he's throwing all these men under the bus and saying, yes, we need all you happy slaves, but I need you to be happy while you do this. Be the best slave you can be.
Yeah, just be a happy slave. Bottom line. That's what he's doing. Yeah. And it's not to mention how many other denominations are going to support him on that, right? I mean, that's what's lighting up my that video of mine. Between all the dislikes and likes, that speaks volumes right there. The dialogue. The dialogue's happening. The wound's being opened. We're talking about it.
Yeah, we're not just attacking whatever religion. I don't know what religion he comes from, and I'm not attacking religious. He's a Baptist. I'm not just attacking his religion. I'm saying this is the center of a lot of religions, and this goes back to why we say we just keep it very simple and very plain. We say traditionalism.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
You were going to say something there?
No. I was agreeing because when they like that if you read there's this website I go to occasionally. It's called the Conservative Women, and they're traditionalists, right?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if these so-called women against feminism are actually going to become more religious as time goes on, which would be interesting to see because because the concept of marriage is some concept of traditionalism is pushed heavily in religion, and that's no secret. And these women, some of them are waking up to the fact that marriage was a pretty good fucking deal for them, right?
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's ultimately what's driving women against feminism.
Yeah, there is backlash from feminism. We talk about the backlash from feminism. We don't clearly articulate it that the traditionalism it's a good deal for them, isn't it? They know it's a good deal, and they're starting to feel that.
With that, they're going to win through and through. When you read between the lines, what's behind traditionalism, it's in their favor. Okay, it's an enslavement of men. Bottom line, if you're really doing inventory on that.
We're not going back to that. We already know that we're looking out for ourselves now, and let it be said, hey, we're selfish and everything. But the point is, when you got all those downvotes, and I could see there was an immediate drop off in our viewership here from 35 to 26 or 42 to 26 where we were. So that's 13 people that automatically felt offended as soon as we brought this up. but he was clearly articulating what we were saying. He was the example of what we were saying. And I'm sorry that we can't go out there and get all these examples. And I can pose, if I did some work this week, I could pose that this Muslim guy was saying this, and it's exactly the same thing. And the Jewish guy was saying this, and it's exactly, and the civil religion guy, what I call the civil religion, the people that believe in the institution of marriage to the government, they're all saying the same thing because it's in their best interest. I'm not just picking on, and I want to say that I'm not picking on just a specific or going after these people. They can believe this if they want, but this is not Mgtow. This is an example to Mgtow.
Joe, it's very simple. We could get a panel set up, a debate. Those that are for, those that are against, okay? And I mean those that are in defense of Mgtow, okay? Few days, and there's probably not going to be very many agreements, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, it's for the Mgtow to discern for themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, it's up to the Mgtow. But if we give the examples of the press, or we see the Dino Center in the press, that seems to go over a lot better. But now we're starting to tweak on the examples of their religion, and I see a lot of guys run from that, and that's just another red pill these guys got to get over. Hey, I involve myself in a little bit of religion in the real world out here, but I know where that separation is, and I know when there's a lot of bullshit being thrown at me. And as what I consider a monk Mgtow, the Mgtow itself has become a religion to me. That's a very fine, in that sense, it makes me a better man. And we got to get over this immediate visceral reactions of this is offending my certain particular religion. And my certain particular religion could be any one of the ones I mentioned, up to Buddhism to civil religion, and you could make religion racism too. Racism's your cause, that's your religion. Or fighting feminism could become your religion. And you put that before everything, and you start talking like this.
Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
Oh no, it's okay. I was done.
No, everything dovetails beautifully, and I mean, it's funny. Even last night, I was watching a video of a Zen Christian priest, right, and how he adopted Zen in his Christianity, and it was just brilliant. So it's everything's going to dovetail pretty much. But when it comes to raw truth, I think that's what we're dealing with here.
Yeah.
Right?
We're
facing it, and we're adopting. Okay, and I think that's the difference between what's going on out there. I think that's the religious aspect of Mgtow, is that we're dealing with core truths, and I say religious with air quotes. Right?
Yeah, I wish there was a better word for.
Yeah, I would go with the word philosophical.
Whatever, or science of the mind. Okay, we're here to improve our minds. Yeah, and everything else will follow accordingly.
Yeah.
I would go with the philosophical aspect of Mgtow rather than the religious, but
because when someone hears me say that Mgtow is a religion, to me they're going to go, "Oh, you're trying to turn it into a religion. You're a bad guy."
Or the cult thing, or
the cult thing, yeah.
With the cult,
No, I'm just looking at the spiritual aspect of Mgtow, and it's what it does. It helps me in my life, and it's a spiritual. What did you call it?
philosophical.
Philosophical,
or the mind sciences, really.
Yeah. It's the same thing. It's the same thing, but I think mine's better. I think Mgtow's a better, more truthful, more honest way of looking at things. You can get these examples from this guy that we just listened to. Why, he's lying to himself. He's deluding himself.
He's limiting himself, Joe.
He's limiting himself.
Bound by his biblical references, okay? And he's formulated his life accordingly. We are saying no. We're willing to move beyond that. We're willing to look and read between the lines. And we've accomplished that even in our talk here so far, right? Yeah. We are able to see through shit, right? And we keep working. If we're not able to do it, we keep on working, okay? That's what's waking up guys, Joe. Seriously. It's the fact that some and most of these truths are unpalatable, but like I've said it before, one word can change a man's life forever. And that's what's happening in Mgtow. Because that one word, how it's taken into context, okay, can wake up a man's life. I mean, that guy can light up right there and then. Okay,
Oh, yeah.
that's
Yeah.
another failure that a lot of religions don't talk about the spiritual experience, right?
Yeah.
And that's what's going on here in Mgtow and has been for the past since we've been active online.
Right, right. We're not those preachers like him that are going to say it's my. We had a guy on this morning, earlier in the show. He was definitely purple pill man. I was willing to hear his point of view, but you can clearly see he was getting it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
That's right. And we should allow these guys to evolve on their own if they are a purple pill, and if they're on the right track. I mean, at the end of the day, we can only suggest and offer advice. But at the end of the day, the man has to make the decision
he's
of
got
his
to
life.
make the decisions, and it's for his.
Exactly.
And, we're altruistic. It's for your own good. It's for your best good. Some of these things may be hard to take at first, but when you look at the long run, I want men to be happy, healthy individuals running business, employing people, getting the society on track, and that's for your own good.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Your
about.
power of example will have an impact on the people around you, even in the slightest ways, right? And that's the other thing. Everybody has to be relying on the spoken word, and creating impact. No, sometimes just your presence, outside of online, right? Your presence as a Mgtow will be captured.
Right.
People will take notice. They won't know what it is, but it's there. And you know what I think it is? It's because you've let go of a lot of bullshit and you're freer. And maybe at a very deep level, others' psyches are picking that up, okay? And namely women, because, they are attracted to Mgtow. And they don't know why.
They don't. Yeah, they are attracted. Strange. There's this strange attraction to Mgtow. Well, we become better providers for one, and that's the main criteria. And I think that's. They can only see us still. They don't listen to the undertones of our language that we're no longer being providers. We want you to do.
Remember the term, Joe? We've dismissed.
We've dismissed it.
It's a dismissal. Okay.
Well,
it's got nothing to do with hatred or hating you. It's a dismissal. It's the same thing as getting fired in a job. But we wish you all the best. Maybe I'm speaking for myself, but they're dismissed.
Yeah, we're dismissing them.
I mean, well, what you're talking about is, it's not a big secret to women in conservative circles, right? Like, they see Mgtow as affluent men who are not playing the game anymore, right?
Right.
And they accuse us of, mimicking feminism. Which is silly on so many levels. I can't even go through it. But, it's absolutely true.
Different show.
These fucking conservative women, they're like, well, it's not fair that all these affluent men are just telling us to piss off, and now we're all single and we're gonna have a whole bunch of cats. Well, it sucks to be you.
Yeah. In the earlier part of this video, and you all listened to it, he says, when he observes Mgtow, when he looks at it, he gives in and he goes, I can agree that these men are smart, very well trained, college educated. Most of them have good careers.
Yeah.
He he admits that Mgtow is doing great work. and then he goes, yeah, it's like, okay, we are. We are sort of in the eyes. When they look at us, all they can see is the alpha male being selfish. That's a jealousy thing, isn't it?
Well, it's a jealousy thing, but I'm gonna throw something into this. Since Mgtow has existed, how many men's lives have been saved from suicide? I mean, go right back to Barbar, back to 2012. You know it, Joe. I know it.
Yeah.
Okay. How many men have been saved from suicide? How effective has Mgtow been? That's something that needs to be looked at, gentlemen.
Oh,
because
God, yeah.
even that's not going to be noticed. But those that are in the know and have been around, it is having an effect on men's lives. Men are changing themselves around.
Yeah, I call it the silent Mgtow effect, right? Like, not all of us are content creators. Not all of us are, especially here on fucking YouTube, right? Not all of us have Tumblrs or Twitters or Facebooks, all that other bullshit, right? Like, they're just quiet guys. They may not even know Mgtow exists, but they're Mgtows nonetheless.
That's
right.
Great.
And they're just
Keep in mind, and that's just
they're just going about their daily fucking
okay.
lives, not giving a fuck about any of this, right? And but they're the silent, and going off of Nixon, is silent majority, right? And I believe an overwhelming number of MGTOWs are flat out just not content creators.
Right. Yeah. I brought on yesterday. We had an impromptu talk with Mgtow Oracle and Seth, and I was talking. Just because you don't want to be a Mgtow producer doesn't mean there's nothing you can do to help out around here. There's a lot men can do to help out. Mgtow Oracle's putting together these things that he does. He puts together, and Seth is out there spamming the heck out of Twitter right now, and. Just because you don't want to do that, but we're all working together in this group, and it is a community. And I'd like to promote that idea that just because you're not making videos and you're not the greatest speaker in the world, or you don't have that ability, there's no reason not to engage in the community and say, where can I help out? Where's my place? Because there is a lot of different places around here, isn't there?
Oh, there are places that have yet to be uncovered, Joe. It's a free-for-all in that respect, Joe.
Yeah. We need right now. We need writers. We need we need grant writers. We need writers in general. We need guys to do that. And you don't have to be verbally outspoken or making videos to do that. We need organizers. We need community organizers. And we need a lot of different guys. If you're in that category and you're sitting back going, "There's nothing. I can't make a video." No, there is still a lot.
And there's an opportunity for growth. If you're one of those men who got beaten down to such a point that you have a hard time making, setting your foot forward, well, we provide a platform here at Mgtow if you're that kind of guy. And we providing a platform for you to move beyond yourself, okay, and join in with a community of like-minded men, okay? And you have an opportunity for self-evolvement. Who else is going to offer that?
I just wanted to touch on something Gelatons36 said here. Sorry if I mispronounced it. He said the support is not there for young men, which is why we need to teach young men Mgtow. I actually want to speak to that for a moment.
Oh, yeah.
On my channel, right? I have this longtime subscriber, and he's 13 years old, and he now my average demographic is the 25 to 35-year-old range, right? But here I have this 12-year-old kid or 13-year-old kid, and I actually had somewhat of an in-depth conversation with him, and come to find out he didn't. He's like a kid of a single mother, right? So he has no father, and he does these little stop animation like cartoons, I guess you could call them, on his YouTube channel, right? And it's the little things is what I'm getting at here.
Right.
All this young man needs is just a little bit of encouragement, right? And he is, I don't know why, but he's very taken by me. And I was like, look, man, here's some tips for your video production. I don't know a whole lot about stop animation, obviously, but I know enough to kind of guide him through the process, And that's what I'm getting at. It's the little things. When you see a young man, not even just 18, a young man, 13, 14, 15 years old, you need, in my opinion, supporting men is encouraging that male creativity, right?
Right.
And when you see a 13-year-old kid and he's watching these red pill videos, something is sinking in, right? And it was really cool to have this kid go like, "Wow, you're amazing." I'm like, "I'm just a fucking idiot on YouTube."
Yeah, he's amazing. You should like, you're amazing. He's amazing because he's doing something that stop animation, that could be his future right there. That it could be a way to make money. It could be a way for him to project himself into society, doing something he loves to do. And maybe you're the only person in his life that supports him in that area. He could be the next cartoon maker. What are those two guys? He could be the next guy that makes South Park, or that's what they did. We don't know, but we support him. And he can still work around here. If he doesn't have the voice to project, or he doesn't think he has that kind of quality, there's another guy that would like to do. You can do. There's a lot of guys that would like to do. Fills on those with the voice, and they can bring something else to. There's a lot of guys that are good with movie makers and stuff like that. Let's work together.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, and he routinely gives me like these articles and stuff. He's Like, because most of the stuff I cover is actually given to me by other people, right?
Yeah.
I just end up writing the scripts, and I end up, doing the video editing and all the bullshit that goes along with making a YouTube video. But at the end of the day, the actual material is given to me by other people through Twitter.
Oh God, yes. If we all had 6 or 7 guys working together, and guys that would do little stop animations for me and giving me little, because I don't have 10 hours a day to go through the whole internet, and sending me little things that I could use, and saying, and it would become a team project. We can get this word out 10 times better with 10 times more of the quality. But that's what we got to put together, guys working together.
Absolutely. No, and it's the old adage, huh? 2 brains are better than 1.
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah.
And two mediocre brains are probably better than 1 genius brain.
Oh,
I mean, it's
yeah.
it's just how the math works. It's
Well, that's true. It's a great algorithm.
yeah. Is that a Hoka-ism?
Yeah, where is Steve Hoka in on this one?
Where is Steve Hoka-ism? The
Steve,
Hoka.
if you're listening, man. We'd like to hear from your feedback on this.
Yeah. So we're heading up on 2.5 hours here, and I like to
say, Joe, yeah.
Yeah, I like to cut them about that point for listening palatability and everything. We're it was a great chat we had today once again, and you never know where it's going to go. I just
absolutely.
open them up.
Do you have your permission to mirror it?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah. We just open them up and we see where they're going to go, and we talk about a wide variety of things, and we hit on a wide variety of things that can help Matt. Let's think about the community. Let's think about the community of Mgtow and put that first, just like the Christians do. And there's nothing wrong with being selfish or being individual, because I don't think they understand the difference between individualism and individualistic.
Well, that's fodder for discussion, Joe. And I was going to propose actually, give ourselves a 2-hour break here and reconvene around 4:30 Eastern Standard Time, for our second part, and maybe we can touch base on the individuality of Mgtow. Guys in the chat room, if you have any ideas, come and join us later on, Joe. What do you think? Ourselves 2 hours here and come back for part 2.
Yeah,
sure, I'm down.
Let's do that, and I'll give you the link, and then I'll have to go find your page here to send you the link, and then we'll do that. And, hey guys, be Mgtow, be strong, say it loud, say it hard, because they ain't listening, they ain't getting it, but we're gonna get through. And with that, I'm gonna stop this broadcast. Love you guys.
Thanks, Joe.